Good morning, everybody. Thursday morning, April 24th, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 8:01 Eastern Time. So glad you could make it. So glad you're here today. Like we say every single day, we know you have many choices to make every single morning, and we are always grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There is a gifting goal today. Please consider utilizing that. Before I get into all this, I woke up like an hour late today. So I've got my routine. Like, I'm not really a routine kind of guy, but except in the morning. So like I get up at my alarm set for 5:45 a.m., usually hit snooze once, out of bed at 5:55, downstairs, let the dog out. Then I do yoga. That's been my thing. It's my half an hour where I can, just center myself, helps keep the back healthy and happy, and I just missed all that shit today. So I am like all over the place. Usually have a little time for show prep just to make sure I've got everything organized. I'm only 1 cup of coffee in, so we'll see how that goes. But again, real world problems. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you. So again, a gifting goal. Please consider joining our team. It's one heart. Please consider subscribing to FactsStillMatter.site. You can also find the link in the Facts HQ, which is in the link tree that is in my bio. Please head on over there. We are 23 subscribers away from our goal of 150. If we can reach that number by the end of the day tomorrow, everybody who is a subscriber on FactsStillMatter.site at the HQ will go into a drawing, and the winner will get their choice of 2 items in the merch store or a comparable charitable donation submitted on your behalf by yours truly. So we'll do that. And again, while you're over in the link tree, please check out a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, there's a new link from our friend Chad. Chad is working on helping members of his community, and I think you'll find the link. It's the first link that you'll see in my link tree. Go check it out. People doing something, right? People getting organized, people helping out their community. These are the kinds of things that really, really matter. So good on you, Chad, and good on our friend Eve, of course. Eve stepping in and helping Chad build his website, which is pretty damn cool. And also, while you're over in the in Facts HQ, please join our Discord, because that's where we keep things organized. The subscription thing is really important, guys, because we don't know the future of this app, and we need a place where we can centralize our information. So Facts HQ will also be able to link to our Discord, so we'll be able to keep people communicating. Eventually we are streaming on YouTube, by the way. So if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. Really, really appreciate it. And again, to support the channel, if you appreciate what we do here every single day, 8 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday, Eastern Time, Facts Still Matter at Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Thank you all very, very much. Okay. Not even really sure where to start today because I'm a little bit disorganized. Let's just do this. The market closed up yesterday, which means basically that a lot of rich people made more money. And the market's been on a bit of a climb, but we certainly know that it's artificially destroyed, an artificial crash leading to a whole bunch of things that are obviously certainly on our minds. But the futures market is already down this morning. So we know that. And what I think is interesting, again, is we often talk about history and why it's so important that we remind folks that history doesn't repeat, but it certainly does rhyme. We have examples of what's going on here. I'm going to appeal. Why did I get that? Okay, I got some restriction, but I just submitted the appeal, so let's see what happens. Who the hell knows these days? Anyway, we've got historical examples of the impact of the economy. So yeah, I got a restriction. I don't know why, but it is what it is, friends. Everybody tapping is clapping. It's really, really important that y'all tap like crazy now. 25K is the first target. There's 225 people in here. If you all just tap for 5 minutes, and I would really appreciate that to help us get out the FY. Please gift. Gifting helps push back against the restrictions. Please gift, whether it be our gifting goal or whatever you got in your gift box. Please send our way. Thank you, guys. So obviously the volatility of the market. We've talked about this quite a bit. Lawrence O'Donnell, we all know Lawrence. He breaks things down very, very succinctly and to the point. And I think this is a really good historical reference to the state of our stock market in particular. So this is what Lawrence had to say.
1932, the unemployment rate in this country was 23.6%. Let me say that again. The unemployment rate in 1932 was 23.6%. We were at the depth of what came to be known as the Great Depression, the cruelest economic depression in American history. starving children were going to bed hungry in this country in 1932. The suicide rate was skyrocketing. And today, the Trump stock market is on its way, according to the Wall Street Journal, to the, quote, worst April since 1932. Prior to the Donald Trump stock market, not a single economic indicator in this country has ever resembled anything in 1932 during the entire course of our lifetimes. But now Donald Trump has managed to bring the stock market back to 1932.
Make America great again, right? So that's a really important point that Lawrence uncovered, right? So we've got historical examples of what happened. You know, we can compare the crash of the stock market, 23.2% unemployment rate. And I've talked to you guys about this before. It was during that time that the federal government created a minimum wage because so many people appeal not approved for, I don't even know what I got the restriction for, but whatever. Who the hell knows? The federal government initiated, it's part of, FDR's sort of recovery plan, federal minimum wage designed to help address the fact that we had a quarter of our population that was unemployed. The idea behind the minimum wage, it was just that, a minimum wage so that people could stay in their homes, so people could feed their kids, so people could pay their electric bill and their gas bill, things like that, right? So, and then we certainly know that there was examples of an attempt to use tariffs to balance our economy. So June 17th, 1930, keep that date in mind, June 17th, 1930, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act was signed into law. And just as a reminder, U.S. legislation that raised import duties, tariffs, to protect American businesses and farmers are adding considerable strain to the international economic climate of the Great Depression. Point is that the stock market crash got worse and worse. 1932 was at its height, right? And we can look at the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act being signed June 17, 1930, and every economic expert who's ever studied this points directly to the fact that that particular piece of legislation made the Depression worse. History doesn't repeat, but it certainly rhymes. So that's something that obviously we need to continue to keep an eye on. Obviously, our economy is a lot different now, and there are lots of other factors that influence it. But tariffs are certainly not the answer. And the obvious lies and misinformation that come from the White House every single day about the status of things. We have examples of that. Okay, so let's go to something that the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted felon recently said about the economy. These are some of the indicators we talk about. We talk about gas. We talk about eggs. We talk about the market, things like that. We talk about groceries, even though it's an old word, right? Groceries. This is what he had to say recently.
You know, the question is about prices. The prices are going down, not going up. One of the big things is energy is going down. I see that we had a couple of states where gasoline was at $1.98 a gallon.
Really?
Nobody thought they'd see that for years, maybe. And that's a big thing. And we opened up our wells. We opened up our drilling. We have more product now for sale.
Lie.
And we're also going to be selling outside of the country to a large extent. It's going to bring down our deficits, largely. But if you remember my first week, I was standing here, Paul, and they were screaming about eggs. The cost of eggs have gone through the roof. They were up like 500%, crazy, like 4 or 5 times. And we won't have eggs for Easter, they were saying. There will be no eggs. You can't order eggs. They wanted us to order plastic in the shape of eggs. Well, yesterday we had 48,000 people at the Easter hunt.
So this continues. Hold on.
Percent since we took over. Well, yesterday we had 48,000 people at the Easter hunt. They call it the Easter roll at the White House.
The Easter roll.
And we had all eggs. And as you know, the cost of eggs has come down like 94% since we took office. And they're pretty much normally priced now.
Okay, first of all, this.
I know words. I have the best words. But there's no better word than stupid.
Okay, remember, he said that the eggs are down 94%. He said that the price for a gallon of gas is at $1.94. We all know our friend Zach Kimball, who's been on the show a couple times. I love Zach. If you don't follow Zach, it's Zach Kimball. You can find him on TikTok, on Instagram. He also does a podcast. He's great. I love the way his brain works. He speaks to things the way that we do, very directly, very factually, very nonsensical. And he is addressing the claims that Donald Trump has made. Here you go.
That gas, grocery, and egg prices are all down. So let's do a fact check. Trump said that some states had gas prices as low as $1.98, but the truth is not one single state went below $2.70, and the national average was $3.17.
Okay, again, Trump's claim was gas was as low as $1.98. No state has it below $2.27. And the national average is $3.17.
Trump says grocery prices are down, but we actually just saw the largest month-to-month increase in grocery prices since 2022. Trump says that egg prices are down by 94%, which would make a dozen eggs 38 cents. So we know that's not true. The truth is that March was actually a record high for egg prices for consumers at $6.23.
Oh, no.
Trump lied about all three. What a surprise.
What a surprise. What a surprise. Again, just to be
Daniel,
clear.
The question is about prices. The prices are going down, not going up. One of the big things is energy is going down. I see that we had a couple of states where gasoline was at $1.98 a gallon. Nobody thought they'd see that for years, maybe. And that's a big thing. And we opened up our wells. We opened up our drilling. We have more product now for sale. And we're also going to be selling outside of the country to a large extent. It's going to bring down our deficits. Largely going to bring down our deficits. But if you remember my first week, I was standing here, Paul, and they were screaming about eggs. The cost of eggs have gone through the roof. They were up like 500, crazy, like 4 or 5 times. And we won't have eggs for Easter, they were saying. There will be no eggs. You can't order eggs. They wanted us to order. Well, yesterday we had 48,000 people at the Easter hunt. They call it the Easter roll.
They call it the roll.
At the White House. And we had all eggs. And as you know, the cost of eggs has come down like 90.
And again, just as a
Trump says that gas, grocery, and egg prices are all down. So let's do a fact check. Trump said that some states had gas prices as low as $1.98, but the truth is not one single state went below $2.70.
Correct.
And the national average was $3.17.
Correct.
Trump says grocery prices are down, but we actually just saw the largest month-to-month increase in grocery prices since 2022. Trump says that egg prices are down by 94%, which would make a dozen eggs 38 cents.
Right.
So we know that's not true. The truth is that March was actually a record high for egg prices for consumers at $6.23. Trump lied about all three. What a surprise.
Shocker. Yeah, he did say 48,000 people were at the White House for the Easter egg. They call it the roll. They make the plastic things. Yeah, they're called plastic eggs that you put jelly beans inside and little. I used to do scavenger hunts for my kids on Easter morning where you put little notes inside the plastic egg with jelly beans, right? And then you have to scatter around the yard. I used to tell my kids that maybe the Easter bunny hid their eggs under dog shit. They never liked that. But my middle son would have gone hunting for it because that's how obsessed with kid he was. Anyway, more lies from the White House, but no one really seems to care about that now, do they? Of course they don't. All right. Okay, so we had an interesting conversation last night with, it was either JD or Fred as we did debate night. Really, one of the reasons that I don't debate much anymore is because of what we witnessed last night. There is just obviously we know of the mind of the Trump voter that they just do not care about the facts and the truth. But the more and more I spend time sort of thinking about this, it's not just about the preservation of their whiteness. It's not just about voting for against their best interests, right? It's more than that. It's they have this belief that they're on the side of righteousness, and a lot of it connects to their faith, right? So I think it was JD last night who claimed that Trump converted to Judaism. And I have never heard that story before. I know that there's been some memes about it. We do know that Ivanka converted because of Jared, but it's just really strange to me that they're doubling down on that, which I think is interesting, primarily because of some of the things that he has said on the campaign trail, specifically about his I'm not going to say his views or his beliefs, but this was at Turning Point, so Charlie Kirk's organization. This is what he had to say about this on the campaign trail about his faith. Okay.
We have to win this election, most important election ever. We want a landslide that's too big to rig. If you want...
Hold on, let me start this again.
We have to win this election, most important election ever. We want a landslide that's too big to rig. If you want to save America, get your friends, get your family, get everyone you know, and vote. Vote early, vote absentee, vote on election day. I don't care how, but you have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
At Avocado, how you sleep matters, whether you crave.
Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm a little bit behind this morning. Okay. The claim there, you heard him say it, that he's a Christian, right? So I don't know where the statement of his conversion to Judaism is. We've got other examples of him professing his faith and professing his love. What's my shirt? It says Misfit. Hermie. Okay. So this was an interview that he did. This is a few years ago when he was being asked about his faith specifically, and the interviewers, did a pretty significant job questioning him, and this is what he had to say when asked questions about his belief.
Of your verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal.
Hold on.
You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book, and you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what 1 or 2 of your most favorite Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into...
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite?
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
Are you an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible... The whole Bible is an incredible... I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
Have you ever read the Quran? Do you have a view of that as a book?
I have not. I have not read it.
What's your view of that as a piece of important world history?
Well, it's certainly a piece of world history, and lots of things are happening, but it's not something that I have a lot of interest in. I would like to find out what's happening, why this hatred, why there's, I mean, you look at what's going on in the world, and it's wonderful to say, hey, let's not look at Sweden, and let's not look at Norway, and let's not look at different places, but you look at what's happening with the Quran, it's a pretty scary thing.
Okay. He has no fucking clue what the hell he's talking about. I want to just go back real quick, and I'll finish up on this, but I want to go back because Gregory sent me a Truth Social post, was addressing the specifics around the economy, as we just talked about. So this was his Truth Social post. Gas and grocery prices are way down in caps. Remember the poker tell? If you're sitting across the table from somebody who's got to tell, you pay attention. You don't tell them until the very end, right? When he puts things in all caps, that means that he's either lying or he is trying to distract his followers from something. So he'll say gas and grocery prices are way down in all caps, just like I said they would be. Eggs are plentiful and down 87%. Nice. Again, we know that that is absolutely not true. He claimed in that sound that we just played that they were down 94%, which would mean that they would be pennies. And then the responses that you get to that post, and these are, again, the majority of people on Truth Social, aside from Greg and I who troll, are his voters. So this is what they had to say about that, and I think it's really, really interesting that the people that he loves so much, what? They're not down. I'm still paying $4.99 a dozen. 87%? Where? No, unfortunately, they're not. Gas is still over $3 per gallon, and groceries are not either. A prime example is fish. is $16 for each dish, and I would need 3, and that would be $48. I did not purchase. Check Pure Vanilla Extract for baking, and a bottle was $16. I don't know where you're getting your numbers, but it's not true. No, they're not. Fuel is averaging $3.20 a gallon in my area of Florida and projected to rise. Eggs are still $6.99 a dozen, and grocery prices are still through the roof. Unfortunately, gas and groceries are not down, Mr. President, even though a barrel of gas is a barrel of gas. Actually, that would be a barrel of oil, sir. Even though a barrel of gas is down, the gas is still over $3 a gallon. Food prices are still high. I bought eggs yesterday, $6.39 for a dozen. You need to go to a store. Whoever told you an 89% drop is lying to you. Wow. Those are his voters, ladies and gentlemen, or his supporters, or whatever you want to call them, the members of the cult. They are reacting to his lies. Too little, too late, in my opinion, but that's what you get in MAGA. They are in the find out phase. Okay. So back to his profession of Christianity. Now I bring this up because everybody tapping is clapping, sharing is caring. Don't forget about the gifting goal, and please consider subscribing. FactsStillMatter.site. I want to just quickly mention a couple of thank yous to some recent members, to Deb, who subscribed yesterday, and Wicked Ewok, who subscribed the day before, along with Jin. Thank you guys very, very much. Remember, our target is 150 subscribers, so we need 23 more. Help us get to 150 so we can do a subscriber-only event. And also, any subscribers who subscribe to Facts HQ will go into a drawing to win their choice of 2 items in the merch store or a comparable charitable donation on your behalf paid by yours truly. So there's that. Okay. We talk about this into maybe we're looking at the devotion that he has from his followers the wrong way, right? So if you are a Christian nationalist, Trump's your guy, right? I found this clip of a podcast that kind of speaks to this. So here you go.
If you're struggling with the Donald Trump presidency, let me just encourage you. He defunded Planned Parenthood. Yeah. You should rejoice. He declared that the federal government will only recognize boys as boys and girls. You should rejoice. Yep. He declared that we should not prioritize fish over humans, which is a reinstating of the Genesis 2 created order. Yep. You should rejoice. He said boys will not ruin women's sports by pretending they're girls and then running over girls. You should rejoice. He's appointing people who publicly profess Jesus Christ as Savior. He's appointing people of righteousness to positions of power. You should rejoice. Absolutely. He's bringing to light things that have been held in darkness by the government. There is literally nothing that a Christian should be grieving or worried about right now. We are in a unique window and season of it is all rejoice. Thanks be to God for who he is and what he's doing through what you may have perceived as an imperfect servant. God's using him in many ways. Thanks be to God. Learn how to win, Christian.
First time I heard that, I was just like, wow. So again, right? We always, good morning, Mac. Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. Yeah, good grief is a great response. In their mind, though, that's what they've got. They've got their servant of God, right? Which is why they see him as they do, idyllically, which is why they see imagery. We see imagery of the Secret Service dressed as angels around him in the Oval Office. So their own, how do I want to say this? Their faith, right? They say drives them, and they believe that Donald Trump is their servant, and they reference things that we would consider hateful, right? Talking about taking away women's rights to their body, reproductive health care. They're cheering that on. First of all, federal funding for Planned Parenthood is not a thing. It's against the law. I forget what act it is, but we'll find that out. So that's not something that happens, right? So that's a lie. The whole argument about men and girls sports is just nonsense. We know the numbers. That's just because of anti-trans rhetoric and people who are hateful, who have bigotry and hatred in their heart. The Hyde Amendment. Thank you very much. Yeah, the Hyde Amendment. That's right. So those are all lies, right? But they support their belief, right? The Christians out there who claim love thy neighbor, feed the hungry, heal the sick, clothe the poor, shelter the lost and disenfranchised, right? So it becomes this whole fight for the rest of us, not just against MAGA ideology, but against Christian nationalism. So this is the takeover of our country, aside from the oligarchy. And I'm going to talk about Bernie and AOC in just a minute, but it's the same group of people who are led to believe that the billionaire oligarchs are the ones that are also looking out for them and thus support the Christian agenda, the Christian nationalist agenda. I want to be very clear that we talk about this. It's Christian nationalists, right? I don't judge a person's faith. What I judge is their bigotry. What I judge is their actions. What I judge is their hypocrisy. And for Christian nationalists, because that's what these guys are, they're Christian nationalists. Charlie Kirk is a Christian nationalist. When you believe in nationalism, right? And you consider you confuse nationalism with patriotism because they're not the same thing. Nationalism is fascist. Patriotism is anti-fascist, right? You can certainly have your faith and be a patriot. But when we hear Donald Trump, when we hear people say that Trump converted to Judaism, which we know is not true, we have no evidence of it. We have Donald Trump not being able to cite any favorite book of the Bible or passage of the Bible and just lie about it. And then we have these Christian nationalists cheering it on. Not cheering on someone whose policies they like, not cheering on someone who they believe then would lead them to economic prosperity. It's because of their hatred towards marginalized communities. It's their hatred towards LGBTQIA. It's their hatred towards women's rights to their body. It's their hatred towards women in general. Remember, the servant expected women to be quiet, women to be at home. We've got Christian nationalists on the record saying that we should repeal the 19th Amendment, so women shouldn't have the right to vote. There should be one vote per household, right? Exactly. That's the question. Why is their faith so centered on other people? That's a really good point. So he's their perfect empty vessel. And I don't know how we come back from that, to be honest with you. It's because, we're in this sort of chaos where Christian nationalists are taking over the spaces that we hold dear, right? They're everywhere. They're in government, they're in the church, they've always been there. I'm not naive, but we're just seeing them more and more because they're given license to be loud. They're in government, they're in legislation, they're in communities, they're in corporations, they're everywhere. And as we know from studies, when it comes to protecting the kids they care about, they're the biggest perpetrators in many cases about crimes against children, right? We know that. So it's like, it's a weird 7 Mountain Mandate. You're right. They do hate kids. You guys are right. Again, smartest chat on TikTok. This is the fight. This is the fight. Exactly, Eve. They're just emboldened. Like they've got their champion. So they feel like they can go out and just be hateful outside and then this is the worst part though. Think about this. We hear the hate, right? We hear the hate. We hear the hate towards everybody who's non-white, who's non-male, unless you're a cis white hetero male, quite frankly, Christian, even though you can pass even if you're not a Christian because you'll just be told that we believe what you believe. And yet all we hear is hate. All we hear is hate. That's it. It's just exactly. They disguise it as love. It's all we hear. Just listen to this sound again. This is crazy.
As a Christian, if you're struggling with the Donald Trump presidency, let me just encourage you. He defunded Planned Parenthood. Yeah. You should rejoice.
He did not.
He declared that the federal government only recognize boys as boys and girls. You should rejoice.
Only in his executive order, by the way.
Yep. He declared that we should not prioritize fish over humans, which is a reinstating of the
That's the whole smelt thing in California, which has been debunked.
Genesis 2 created order. Yep. You should rejoice. He said boys will not ruin women's sports by pretending they're girls and then running over girls. You should rejoice.
Wow.
He's appointing people who publicly profess Jesus Christ as Savior. He's appointing people of righteousness to positions of power. You should rejoice.
Absolutely.
He's bringing to light things that have been held in darkness by the government. There is literally nothing that a Christian should be grieving or worried about right now. We are in a unique window in season.
There's nothing that a Christian should be worried or grieving about right now. So Christians in the chat, okay, even those of you who are Trump supporters, right? Do you believe that? Do you believe what they just said?
And it is all rejoice. Thanks be to God for who he is and what he's doing through what you may have perceived as an imperfect servant. God's using them anyways. Thanks be to God. Learn how to win, Christian.
It's mind-boggling to me that, that is one group. I'm not sure if that's the only group. Like, we always talk about why certain groups, not every voting block is a monolith. First of all, we know that, right? Not everyone is a monolith. I don't know who the person is. This is Pastor Josh McPherson, his podcast, I believe. I found it on YouTube. How do I want to say this? We have these pockets of voters, and we always question why they support what they support. Like, why do members of the BIPOC community? Again, not everyone is a monolith. Not every voting category is a monolith. Why do members of the BIPOC community, in particular Black men, and I've learned a lot through talking to other Black men and Black women about why that is, and I can start to understand it. It just seems strange to me. Why women would? I think we know that it's primarily white women. By and large, it's white women, especially it's white women with nothing but a high school degree or less. We know that. We understand why members of LGBTQIA, in some cases, primarily it's the white men as members of LGBTQIA that are voting for Trump, primarily. And then we have Christians, right? Then veterans, it's another large group that we can't understand. And then we have veterans, right? Christians, or so-called Christians. How can you exist in the world that you live in under your faith when you talk about a loving God, when you talk about clothing the poor and housing the hungry and feeding the hungry and all those kinds of things? It's the contradictory. How do you square it? So from our perspective, what we see on the left who truly do care about these things, we talk about it all the time. We are the ones that are involved in our community centers. We're the ones that don't try to justify our hatred towards other by saying, well, the Bible told me I should hate this person, but not that person. No, we're all in it because we care about human rights. So in your worldview, we are significantly more godly than you are. Significantly, and it's not even close. And I don't believe in God. I certainly live closer to your creed than you do. I truly do care about other people that I don't even know, other people that I've never met, that I'll never meet. But you don't. You don't care about those people. You should be the ones standing on the border saying, let these people in. You're the ones that should be standing out in front of a Planned Parenthood location saying, we need to be protecting these women from this hatred. You're the ones that need to be wanting to guarantee funding for public education so every child has an access to education. You're the ones that should be putting your hand up saying, why are we defunding Head Start programs? Are we going to not feed kids now? You're the ones that should be demanding universal health care so that we can heal the sick. Where are you? Where the hell are you? Are you just going to go out and buy another flag with Trump as an effigy in some sort of golden robe with a halo over his head? Yeah, that's you. That's you. Why aren't you the ones that are out there volunteering in your community? Why aren't you the ones going to pride parades and protecting people there from the harm of other people in your community? Where are you? Why aren't you the ones that are pushing back against legislatures who preach, who don't care about the separation of church and state? Where are you? Why aren't you the ones going to town halls with Republican officials that are demanding that we have, Bibles in classrooms or 10 Commandments on the wall? Where are you? Why aren't you the ones that are out there fighting? See, the rest of us are now mocking your faith. I know many have done that for a long time, mocking your faith because you are aligned. Now, you might not agree with what you see from Christian nationalists, but guess what? You're kind of guilty by association, because if you're voting with that same voting bloc, then you're voting for white power. You're voting for white supremacy. You are voting for the elimination of certain members of our society. Because why? Why? Because they make you feel uncomfortable? Why? Why? Because you're attracted to a trans woman? Is that it, maybe? Like, why? There's no justification for the level of hatred that you have other than you think Trump is your redeemer. He's your savior. A man who is a bigot, a racist, a violent abuser of women, a predator, right? So I found this clip because this is something that
1932.
Not that one. I want to find, this was he was interviewed recently about, as we know, everybody please keep tapping and sharing. Gifting is really important, guys. I have a restriction. I don't even know why I got it, but if you wouldn't mind, please just helping us out. Just gift whatever you have in your box. And hey, now I'm going to bring up our guest first, and then we'll move on to some more interesting conversations. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
Morning, Steve. I'm all right. Just a quick one.
I cannot hear you. I'm going to drop you down.
Sorry.
Please request again and come back up. Maybe that's the issue. TikTok. Love the TikTok shop, but just not TikTok today. It's just weird. I'll invite you up again, Anachronista. Let's see if that works.
Can you hear me now?
Hello?
Hello? I think Chuck
I
can
can't
hear
hear
me.
you. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. It's just this weird thing. I don't know why it happens, but let's see if I can get somebody else to come up. I'll bring up Bobby. Yeah, I know you guys can hear, but I can't. I know. I get it.
Oh,
Bobby, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Make your purchase now. 4 minutes until the offer ends. It is just $19.99 shipping. Just $39.99 more than just a thing. It's a statement about how you choose if you haven't sampled this. Peppermint start today. Jacob, are you still with us? This is your opportunity. You need to hear this. Before I found this, I'd go run or hit the gym, and my energy would come in so fast, feeling completely fatigued. Think about this. Rising turn of events. This is such a great product. Wonder how you live. My body feels like it's running. You're going to be thankful.
It's the app. I just wanted to briefly say there is a documentary that is well worth watching called Bad Faith. And it talks about that one because there are, I can't get my head around it. But the concept that some Republicans believe he is the second coming and some believe he is the Antichrist, and both are believing that he's going to bring on the apocalypse. And
right, just in different ways. Right.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't think that if God exists, I don't think that it quite works that way. That you can't force the apocalypse. It's not American Horror Story. This is reality. And I think we need to be thinking bigger in terms of our resistance because it's impacting us. We have American like Moms for Liberty groups and stuff calling British libraries, demanding that LGBTQ books be removed from the shelves, which isn't going to happen because we have laws around that. But I think we need to be thinking things on a
it has happened though, but sadly that has happened in many cases. That's the problem, and there's not enough resistance. We know the purge at the Pentagon and through federal government agencies about access to publications and history, removing books that recognize our history, our entire history. So that is happening. Is happening.
English libraries have a policy that they won't remove a book unless there is legal justification. So far, books haven't been taken from shelves, but if they keep lobbying politicians, we will start to see it. And we have women's rights up for question at the moment, and trans rights are being eroded. The disabled rights are being eroded here as a result of American lobbyists.
Correct.
Israeli lobbyists. And I think
it's true.
It's just, as a single person, I often think, how on earth do we combat this? But I think we are stronger together, and I think we need to think on a global scale and work together on this across the pond, because we are seeing that American reach is further than America, and I don't know, Steve. I'm exasperated by all of this. I'm overwhelmed constantly. But yeah, I think we just need to be. I like your ideas of town halls. Mind if I pinch that for the UK?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Please do. Yeah.
I shall do that then. Because I think we need to be thinking on a much bigger scale to combat this, because yeah, there's more of us than them. Just remember that.
There are. I'm glad you said that. They're just louder, and they're perhaps a bit more organized than we are. But the resistance is growing. When you see the results of millions of people showing up, not just here, but across the world in response to a lot of these things that have been driven by the Christian nationalist agenda, in my opinion. And you notice that the legacy media doesn't really cover it because they don't want to cover it, because then they lose access to being able to cover it. So that's why it takes us. That's why it takes, attending rallies, going to events, volunteering in your community, whatever that might be, calling your members of Congress, running for office if you can, donating to campaigns. These are all the things we talk about every single day, but we got to do it. We got to do it.
Yeah. And talking about it is great, but we need to be doing something. And, as a disabled woman, I understand that it's not always as simple as we would like to think it is.
Exactly.
So it's, one of the things, I had a meeting with another disabled advocate yesterday, and we're going to start producing zines about disabled rights, and we're going to we're going to do some live streams about it and some videos about it, and talk about our legal rights, what we are entitled to as disabled people here. But it's, I don't want to use the word entitled because that's often weaponized. So, I think in terms of, if you are at home thinking, what can I do to make change happen when I'm unable to do the things that we discuss here? There's so many options. A lot of it is about getting messaging out there. A lot of it is just finding community and getting engaged with things, as Steve often tells us. And if you are unable to do that, like me, I'm mostly housebound without support. Figuring out what you can do from your phone, from your laptop. There are
use your skills, whatever skills you have, skills you have can be applied in this circumstance, right? Otherwise, we get what we get, right? Apathy is where democracies go to die. Quite frankly.
Yes, exactly.
So, and that's kind of where I sort of see this. But it's always good to talk to you, friend. Like, if you want some help getting things going with, the British version of the town halls, please reach out. I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you. Thanks for jumping in today. Have a good day.
Take care.
All right. Bye. All right. Bye. She's right. These are the important conversations that we need to continue to have, but it's more than just the conversations, right? It's about the action. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Sorry about the restart, but it seems like things are working better now. Hey, Bobby, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Steve. How are you? I'm just a little flustered about that conversation that Trump had with the president of El Salvador yesterday about how he's going to start sending homegrowners. Yeah,
that wasn't yesterday. That was last week. But yeah, that's exactly right. Homegrowns. Exactly.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Well,
very Christian of him. Very Christian of him.
Very Christian of him. Such an asshole. But anyway, so they said they're not going to send Garcia home. The president of El Salvador said...
1 second, Bobby. Hang on. Guys, we're getting mass reported like crazy, so I really need all of your help to tap like crazy. I need you guys to gift. I need you guys to subscribe. I need you guys to heart if you haven't joined the team yet. We're really fighting back against... People don't like what we're talking about here, sadly. So I really, really need your help, friends. If you guys could just tap like crazy, gift like crazy, whatever you got. Thank you, friends. Sorry, Bobby. Go ahead.
No problem. The fact that the president of El Salvador, when he was asked if he's going to send Garcia back, and he said, that's absurd. I'm absolutely not going to. I just cried. It is just horrible how, it's Garcia now, but it's us next week,
Exactly.
and you'll be on the
Where's
list
the line?
just like everybody else.
You're right.
And that's absolutely terrible. And I have subscribed to your YouTube and this, and, I just want to keep up with you. Oh, it's my pleasure. You're giving good information, and I really appreciate you being here every day. And I saw last night, it's no man till, it's every man till it's no man.
That's right. Yeah.
And I love that. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Appreciate you saying that, Bobby. Keep the fight. I appreciate you joining today. You have a good day. See you later.
You too. Whee!
All right. Nice. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. This is kind of, again, what are we talking about? We're just talking about the obvious, aren't we? And people are bothered by that. And that's what it's going to take. We're all in this together. If you guys enjoy what we do every single day, then we need your help, because I can't stay on the app if people are going to just mass report and these things are going to happen, but we should expect it, I suppose. But anyway, all right. I want to get into a couple of other things real quick. This is another examples of the Christian belief, or I should say the belief that Christians have in Donald Trump. And when we say that he's not bigoted and or racist, this is what happens. So this was a conversation. He was weighing in. You may have noticed that a lot of professional sports teams have changed the names of their teams that in the past would be considered racially insensitive to a much more sort of open and transparent and or non-racially motivated, like the Cleveland Indians to the Cleveland Guardians, for example, or the Washington Redskins to the Washington Commanders, things like that. Progress, right? Making progress as a society, like I've talked about a million times. You are either a progressive or you're a conservative. You are either demanding that we move society forward, or you're stuck in neutral, right? So this was, I'm going to place a couple of bits of sound here for you. This was interesting when he was asked this question.
All of these Indian surnames and different names, and I'm saying that I think that's a positive thing. And when you go back to Indians, they polled us. They don't know why these names are being taken off. They're trying to, I think it's degrading to the Indian population, and it's a great population. And they like when they're, called by various names. Now, Washington, the Redskins, perhaps that's a little bit different, but I can tell you that I spoke to people of Indian heritage that love that name and they love that team. And I think it's I think it's a superior name to what they have right now. And it had heritage behind it. It had something special. But a lot of the names having to do with, different places, not just Indians, but I think they changed the name of the Cleveland Indians. Why would you take the name Indians off the Cleveland Indians? And now it's called the Cleveland something else, right? Guardians. It just doesn't make sense to me. So we're about bringing common sense back to this country. And it may be popular or unpopular what I'm saying and I've just said to you. He's a nice guy. He got a lot out of me on this one, but I think most people agree with me. I think it really is demeaning to Indians. But to change the name of the Cleveland Indians as an example to the Cleveland Guardians is not the same, and I'm sure it has an impact on the team.
Okay, so professing his love for the native indigenous population. This was from 1993 when Donald Trump testified in front of a Native American Affairs Committee in regards to Trump properties and casinos.
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like to Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
Depends whether or not you're approving it, sir.
No, it's not a question whether I'm approving it. It's not a question whether I'm approving it. Mr. Trump, you know, in the history of this country where we've heard this discussion before, they don't look Jewish to me.
Oh, really?
They don't look Indian to me. They don't look Italian to me. Mm-hmm. And that was a test for whether people could go into business or not go into business, whether they could get a bank loan. You're too black. You're not black enough.
I want to find out. Well, then why you're approving for Indian? Why don't you approve it for everybody then?
That's not a test.
If your case is non-discriminatory, why don't you approve for everybody? You're saying only Indians. Wait a minute, sir.
Stand for it in 5
You're saying
minutes.
only Indians can have the reservations. Only Indians can have the gaming. So why aren't you approving it for everybody? Why are you being discriminatory? Why is it that the Indians don't pay tax, but everybody else does? I do.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not.
Yeah, I remembered that. That was from 1993. So he had a lot of battles with the legislative body, Capitol Hill, in regard to whether or not there were tax breaks that were afforded to indigenous populations when they were building casinos on reservations, when the G side of the indigenous population at the hands of people like Donald Trump and the colonizers, when they removed their rights to sovereignty into the land that we invaded, and we did them a solid by just putting them on reservations, right? Which led to the demise of entire cultures eradicated at the hands of the white man, the white devil. And now he has had this history of racism, bigotry, whatever it might be. We know it. We've talked about it. I don't know if people have played that clip enough, but now he's in the Oval Office as the president again, basically, oh, I love the indigenous. I love the Indian population. I love them. They love me. They love me. Really? Really? You told them they don't look Indian to me. This is the beginning of that sound. They don't look Indian to me.
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me.
Yeah. They don't look like Indians to me. That's the indicator, right? They don't look like fathers in Maryland to me, so let's just deport them. They don't look like real Americans to me, people who live in Puerto Rico. They don't look like responsible people to me. They look like criminals to me. They look like predators to me. They're not Christians. They don't look Christian to me. This is the fucking fight. This is the fight for humanity, right? It's bigger than we say this a lot, and I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but this is a fight for humanity, right? You've got this guy that sits behind the Resolute desk, and his history is things like we just heard. They don't look Indian to me. She became black. She was Indian, and now she's black. When did she become black? She's not black enough. Where's my African American? Predators indoctrinating kids, remove the rights of the LGBTQIA community because why? Because they don't look normal to you, DJT, right? Tell women that they shouldn't have rights to their body. Why? Why is that? Do they not look right to you? Oh, she's not my type. Horse face. Bleeding from everywhere. Remember those quotes? That's your guy, Christians. That's your guy. That's your guy. That's the guy that you love. That's your guy. One more time. Here's this.
As a Christian, if you're struggling with the Donald Trump presidency, let me just encourage you. He defunded Planned Parenthood. Yeah. You should rejoice. He declared that the federal government only recognize boys as boys and girls. You should rejoice.
Yep.
He declared that we should not prioritize fish over humans, which is a reinstating of the Genesis 2 created order. Yep. You should rejoice. He said boys will not ruin women's sports by pretending they're girls and then running over girls. You should rejoice. He's appointing people who publicly profess Jesus Christ as Savior. He's appointing people of righteousness to positions of power. you should rejoice.
Absolutely.
He's bringing to light things that have been held in darkness by the government. There is literally nothing that a Christian should be grieving or worried about right now. We're in a unique window and season of it is all rejoice. Thanks be to God for who he is and what he's doing through what you may have perceived as an imperfect servant. God's using him anyways. Thanks be to God. Learn how to win, Christian.
So he's telling you to support everything that there is about Donald Trump because he's your redeemer. Okay. Hope I can clip this and turn it into a post so I can share. I will. I'm on it. Don't worry. Let's remind ourselves that is the directive here from the Christian nationalists. That is what they want. Yeah, it's nice, right? Cool. So cool. Good morning, Isaac. How are you today?
Oh, I could be a lot better. There's some information I want to share with your people here. I live in Pennsylvania, and in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, not sure if anyone knows where that is, the sheriff signed documentation yesterday to work with ICE. So I'm just trying to push this information out as much as possible because I've only seen it on one super small account, and it needs to get out as quick as possible.
So I'm pulling this up. So this is from Philadelphia News. Bucks County Sheriff signs agreement with ICE. Here's how he'll check immigration status. The Bucks County Sheriff has signed an agreement with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement that will allow local deputies to join ICE raids. If the compact is finalized by ICE, Bucks County will be set to implement a task force model of the program, which gives sheriff's deputies limited additional powers. Bucks County would become just the second in the state to have an active task force and model agreement with ICE. Bucks County Sheriff Fred Herron said he plans to use the agreement primarily to check the immigration status of people in custody. The task force agreement gives deputies the power to question anyone they believe is an immigrant about their status. Let me read that again. The task force agreement gives deputies the power to question anyone they believe is an immigrant about their status. They may also arrest undocumented immigrants for felonies without a warrant and arrest people for immigration violations according to the agreement on ICE's website that agencies are required to submit for approval. Last month, Bradford and Franklin counties became the first in Pennsylvania to finalize their versions of a similar program. Herron described his office's plan as preliminary and said Monday that his office will only use the new authority to target people for whom law enforcement has established probable cause for criminal activity. I'm not going to knock on doors of restaurants and businesses and check immigration statuses. Okay, we'll see about that. Again, this is the statement that I think everybody should be concerned about. The task force agreement gives deputies the power to question anyone they believe is an immigrant about their status. Isaac, thank you for bringing that to our attention. I appreciate that very much.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for your platform, and keep doing what you're doing. Keep up the good fight.
Talk to you later. You too. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Okay. Christian Love. I bet you the sheriff's a Christian. How much you want to bet? Eve, I'm sorry. I missed you. My bad about that. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, I'm going to bring up Auntie Biscuit, and then I can do my announcements, guys, if you guys are busy. I got it covered, but thank you, though. Hi, Auntie. How are you this morning?
Yeah, could be better. You've obviously, you know what's going on over my side of the pond now, with the Supreme Court ruling.
I do.
Yeah, so we've been having a series of protests over here, which is great. The only thing that I'm very worried about now is that I'm not sure if you've heard what Trump and his team have demanded of the UK as far as any trade deal is concerned. They've demanded that not just, the tea issue for them seems to have been dealt with the Supreme Court, right? But they also want the lesbians, gays, bisexuals and others also targeted with any protections for that community to be revoked. They also have demanded that our hate speech laws are also removed. Now, I know many Americans might go, well, that's freedom of speech right there. You can't monitor people's freedom of speech. Well, a big bunch of those laws were written in the mid to late 90s, and there's mirrored laws in the Republic of Ireland, and they were to ensure that we had a foundation stone for the Northern Ireland Good Friday Agreement to work off, to basically limit certain types of hate speech. So, we're not having the English and the Irish fighting one another, trying to boom each other up and this, that, and the other. And if those hate speech laws go in the UK, that will literally unalive the Good Friday Agreement. So there's a lot riding on this right now. There's a lot going on. Our democracy is literally under siege right now because of economic reasons. There is no other reason for the decisions that are being made other than the billionaires are robbing us all blind on both sides of the Atlantic. They're distracting us with culture wars, and they are making the normal average citizens argue. Because, hey, if we're fighting amongst ourselves, we're too busy, looking at them and going, "You what, mate? Yeah. Why are you doing that?"
Oh yeah, that's the plan, right? That's the plan. I've heard stories that the Supreme Court may have done, your Supreme Court may have done this to appease Trump in a way. Again, if that's where we are, if that's where we're at now, then the game is over.
Yeah.
If we are so infected globally with hatred towards marginalized communities, then the fight is harder.
Well,
not over, but harder.
Because the Supreme Court case, the groups that went to the Supreme Court, they were funded by the likes of J.K. Rowling, but also there's evidence from that there's also evidence about the Heritage Foundation, the Daughters of Confederates. They've also sent money to the UK to help with these court cases. The Supreme Court did not hear any testimony from biologists, did not hear any testimony from endocrinologists. Oh, excuse me a second. Thank you. They did not hear any testimony from any trans people. They simply ignored the science, and they went with the common sense brigade, the ones that take feelings over facts. And I get it, for the vast majority of the population who finished their biology education, in some countries it's 16, in others 18. That's all they know, and most countries only teach XXXY, and that's it at that level. Because they didn't enter the sciences at the higher levels, they're just not taught that because it's not required learning. Now my issue is, why isn't it required learning? Why are we telling children that all there are 2 sets of chromosomes when that's
you keep going, Auntie. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. Keep going. Keep going. I'll be right back.
And what I'd also like to know is what is because this is really important, right? It's not just a trans issue. So, for example, depending upon your chromosomal arrangement, can also radically alter certain medical treatments that are required. For example, when a couple gets married and they try having children, suddenly they find out after some testing that one of the partners has a different chromosomal arrangement, which makes it a lot harder, if not impossible, for somebody to have children. So that can radically alter somebody's IVF journey. In fact, a simple test of someone's chromosomes can tell people if they can even have children, full stop. It can also affect polycystic ovarian syndrome. It can also have impacts on male fertility. There's also cardiological reasons why having these tests done are important. And this is one of the reasons why so many people in later life, they get these shock horror, sort of, there's something not, or should I say majorative about you. So so when these Supreme Court cases are being done and they're ignoring the science and they're going with feelings, it is literally not just a trans issue, it's also a human health issue. And equally, it's also a human rights issue.
And decency and compassion and understanding and just basic, like you said, it's a human rights issue. Thank you for that breakdown, Auntie. Fish, I saw you requested, friend. I want to bring you in. What's on your mind?
Yo, it's all good. I just pulled over real quick. Hey, first thing, with all this stuff going on with you getting violations and stuff, you might want to, think about the way Don Lemon and Jim Acosta and everybody is going and going on their own. We will follow you, buddy. We will follow you wherever you go. We're not doing debates anymore. So just know that. Second, the Trump, him in the Oval Office yesterday was the biggest sign yet that this MFer is getting dementia, and he's losing his mind. He's got the group of people, his enablers around him that are just awkwardly laughing when he's talking about random shit that he has no idea about. He's continuing to make up numbers like the people unaliving in Ukraine. It's gone up now to 5,000 a week. Egg prices are down 93%. If you watch him, he just ups the number every few days.
I know.
There's no problem. There's no reason why we can't, gloves off, be going after this guy, and every time we talk about him, be making it known that he does have dementia. He's got Alzheimer's. He's got mental problems, and we need. I'm sorry if that offends some people, but he does. We need to keep pressing it, and we need to keep telling everyone he's out of his mind and get him the fuck out of there. I'm out.
Thank you, Fish. I appreciate that. I understand your passion. I don't necessarily agree. We're not doctors. I don't want to diagnose, but I think that what we learned from the right is that message about Joe Biden's cognitive ability was very effective on the campaign trail. I think we can question. I think we can certainly call out what we see is just nonsense. The things that you're saying are nonsensical. He looks really old. He looks really tired. He rambles. I think there are things we can do without being, without diagnosing per se. But I just wanted to share that. But I appreciate your passion, Fish. Auntie, anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah, just very briefly, because I know you like to have a rolling panel. So what I'm going to suggest, because we did it on Monday, because it was a bank holiday, so it enabled a lot more people. We protested outside BBC Wales headquarters in Cardiff. That was the main thrust of the Welsh protests. We're going to be doing the same again in a couple of weeks. But what I'm going to say to Americans and what I'm going to say to everybody that's listening in right now is that if you want to protest, don't just protest outside government offices, because if you've got stubborn government, the government won't listen. What people also need to consider is if you've got access to TV stations, if you've got access to like the offices of any of our social media apps, go protest outside those offices. Definitely 100% do not threaten the staff in those offices, but make sure that those media corporations are helping spread the lies, the misinformation, realize that the people are calling them out. You need to go outside those offices and protest. And chant, tell the truth. Tell the truth. And again, do not threaten the staff. Do not become somebody who gets put in handcuffs. And especially, depending on where you are, if you are trans and protesting right now, do not let yourself get arrested, because you'll end up in the male or female prisons or jails, depending on, obviously, what's going on. Because that's what's now going to happen. And you're going to put yourself a massive threat of SA and grape under those circumstances. But everybody needs to start protesting outside those media corporations and put the pressure on them, so they realize that their bullshit can no longer be allowed to be sold to the general population. And on that, I'll land my plane. Steve, thank you so much for accepting me up today.
Thank you, Auntie. I appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Be safe out there. I love that. I love that idea. You guys know how I feel about legacy media and the indoctrination machine and the misinformation machine, that they are poisoning our culture. And we can point to a lot of the demise of the social order on right-wing media. We've talked about the influence that right-wing media has, especially in social spaces. People like Charlie Kirk, people like that going out there and poisoning the minds of people, the impressionable, especially our young men in our society. And yes, it is all men until it's no man. I get that. But our young men need some help because they are being pulled in right under our nose, and it's not happening incrementally. It's happening like a massive tug of war, and they're being jerked right in. And we had to do something about that. I love that idea. Be protesting out in front of media organizations, all of them, because they're all responsible because they don't know how to fucking cover this guy. It would be a dream of mine to be in the press room. I still apply. I've lost a little bit of energy. I've been weekly sending my request in for credentials, and I keep getting denied. I've got my members of Congress working on it to try to help me out. I need to continue to stay on that. I want to be in that press room. I want to get escorted out. I want to call Caroline Leavitt a liar to her face. And I want to give her the receipts. I want to tell them that the administration is being led by a Nazi behind the Resolute desk. I want to be dragged out, not from a performative perspective, but I want to show other journalists that are in that room that they don't have to comply with their bullshit. They don't need to do that. I am working on that, friends. I'm working on that. It ain't easy because, people say, hey, Steve, you're on a list. Maybe I am. I don't give a fuck. I'll remind you again, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Donald Trump, if you're listening, fuck you. Fuck all of you. Fuck you and then fuck you again. So I am trying desperately to get to DC, to get into the press room. If you want to support the cause, you know how to do that. Okay. Right? It's going to happen. I got a new suit. I'll look fly. Boxer Mom, how are you?
I'm good, Steve. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. Fired up. What's on your mind?
Steve, would you mind, I appreciate you letting me come up. Would you mind if I read a poem I wrote for autism for what R.K. Jr. is putting out
Sure,
there?
Please do.
It's nothing bad, okay?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Steve, for giving me the opportunity. Because I feel like people need to hear this. Autism is powerful. Autism is not a flaw. It is not something to fix or fear. It is a different kind of brilliance, a deeper kind of knowing, a symphony of thought, played on frequencies the world is still learning to hear. It is not broken. It is boundless. It is a mind that sees what others miss. Patterns in the static, truth tucked between silences, beauty hiding between the noise. Or behind the noise, I'm sorry. Autism is powerful. It is focused, so sharp it cuts through distraction and builds masterpieces from a single shining thread. It is a memory like a vault, storing detailed depth and the sacred things others forgot. It is passion, not in small doses, but in avalanches. When they love with every ounce of their being, with honesty, with purpose, with wild, relentless truth. Autism is powerful. It is radical honesty, not rudeness, but raw courage. The strength to speak without a mask, to stand in a world of pretending and still choose authenticity. It is creativity with no limits, ideas that take flight in directions no rulebook could contain. It is a vision beyond the page, art beyond the frame. It is sensitivity, not fragility, to light, to sound, to energy, to emotion. A nervous system so finely tuned it feels like the shift in the room before a word is even spoken. It is kindness that doesn't shout, but shows up anyway. It's loyalty forged in steel. Love that is earned and once given never leaves. Autism is powerful. No, it's not always easy, but neither is brilliance. Neither is truth. Neither is changing the world by simply existing as you are. So don't say I'm sorry. Say I see you. Say you are needed. Say you make this world you make this world whole. Because they do. Every single day, autism doesn't need curing. It needs championing. It needs respecting, protecting, celebrating, because autism isn't a weakness. It's a superpower. And we're the ones still learning how to keep up with its light. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Boxer Mom. I appreciate that. A lot of folks have asked if you would mind sharing that. Are you in the Discord?
No, I never know how to get in there. And sometimes I don't even know where my messages are, but send me the thingy and I'll look for it.
Mods will reach out to you, mods, so that we can make that more prominent and they can have it, and perhaps I can read it again with your permission.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it needs to be out there that they're geniuses.
Indeed. Thank you so much. I really, the things like that are really, really important reminders of what it is that we are fighting for. So thank you, Boxer Mom. I appreciate you, friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me up. Have a great day.
You got it. See you later.
Bye-bye.
That's powerful shit right there, friends. That's why we do this, right? That's why we do this. Everybody, please continue to like and share the live. Tapping is clapping. I lost the second appeal for whatever restriction I got this morning. I don't even know. Something Fish Trucker said that I really take seriously. I take, let me say, I want to say this. I really feel it when you all tell me that this is important, what we do every single day. I really, really feel that. My mod team knows, and they always encourage me not to take on too much. Yes, I hear you all. Yes, I'm talking to you, Eve. But I get it. This is important. We're in this fight. And as we know, there's not any spaces that exist. I'm not saying ours is the only one like this, but I think our space is unique because we talk about things in a different way. We support people who we try to give voices to the voiceless, and we encourage those conversations. And I don't have any problem calling out people who agree with me. I don't have any problem calling out friends. I have no problem doing that. We are trying to change the way in which we approach society. We are trying to influence people to make a difference in the world around them, trying to encourage people to do something, to not settle for status quo, right? To not accept what we've been given, to demand protections, to demand healthcare, to demand a better approach, a full-throated approach to public education, to demand a change in society, to demand that we root out corruption as best we can. That's why we do this every single day. So whether it be on TikTok or someplace else, it's frustrating that we get these restrictions. I get it. It's frustrating. YouTube is our backup plan. I've got other social platforms. I'm on Substack. I'm on Blue Sky. I don't really post a lot of content to those places just because I've got a business to run, and I've got this to do every day, and I got to raise a family and all these kinds of things. It's not woe is me. I'm just saying the reality of it. But your support is why we do this every single day. So as long as you guys want me to continue to do this, I'll continue to do it, whether it be here or someplace else. So thank you. I'll get off my soapbox. But thank you for that reminder, Fish, because I think it's important. Thanks, Lulu. Hi, Brooke. How are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. What's on your mind?
Okay, so I just wanted to share an experience that I had last night. For some background, I'm sorry I just joined. I listen basically every morning. I love your stuff.
Thank you.
But I work for my neighbors next door who have an adult son with autism. And I very quickly learned that they are big proponents of anti-vaccine and the whole Make America Healthy Again movement. And they've kind of tried to trap me a couple of times. For a little bit of other background, I'm a PhD student in neuroscience, so I am very much do not ascribe to that doctrine. But the dad comes in and he's talking about Trump is going to enact martial law, and I am so excited about this. And he, like, the glee that was in his eyes, he said there's going to be executions, and I hope they do it on the front lawn of the White House. And it was just, I mean, I have never felt so terrified looking at somebody who was just so excited about the prospect of watching live on television the execution of Hillary Clinton and the Obamas. And then
let's be careful with that word, Brooke. Let's just be careful with that word.
Like I said, I've never been on a live before, like actually speaking. Okay. Long-time listener.
It's all good.
But yeah, and it's just, it was just a terrifying experience to hear the glee of someone who was excited at the prospect of watching unalivings of quote political opponents. And I just thought that I would share this because I had never experienced something so radicalized. And I guess I wanted to get your thoughts on the whole situation and how you would respond in that kind of situation.
Well, first of all, nothing surprises me anymore. I think we're so, especially us empaths, we're so desperate to see, to not see that level of hatred in people. And we're always thinking, okay, well, maybe these are small incidences and maybe they're isolated, but we see it more and more. And that is because of what we've seen from Trumpism from the past 10 years. Racism and hatred and bigotry and anti-LGBTQ rhetoric has always existed. It's nothing new in our society. It was built on that hatred and segregation and all these kinds of things. But what Trumpism has done is just taken the lid off of it, right? Licensed to be hateful. And people celebrate it. People celebrate fathers from Maryland being deported against their constitutional rights and others, and then mass roundup of ICE raids. They're celebrating it. So my response to you, and every situation is different. We had a really kind of uncomfortable conversation last week about people who have friends. If you have friends that still believe this, then I would question your own character. Absolutely. If you're still allowing those people in your life. Family is a little bit more complicated. I get it. But if I was working for someone and they were espousing those things, my resignation letter would be on their desk immediately.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of what I had been I mean, I get the whole anti-vaccine movement. Science is scary and hard to digest. Science communication to the public has been a huge passion of mine through my education. And so I understand how scary that is. I'm all for like living a healthy lifestyle and everything. But yeah, last night was definitely just, I walked home right next door to just absolute, I just didn't know how to act. And so, yeah, I wanted to share this too, in case people have not heard this side of the other side of the aisle, and make people aware that there are people who are celebrating the terrifying ideas that are out there, I guess.
They are indeed.
And
yeah. I mean, again, everybody's situation is their own, Brooke. And I get it. First of all, I appreciate you sharing your story, but we can't settle for this, right? Absolutely. And this is the problem. I understand the economic conditions. I understand, that it's not easy to do, and it may be unrealistic for literally somebody to put their resignation letter in place. But to what end? I mean, what are you fighting for? What are you fighting for, right? There are people in our society who are being unalived because of their skin color. There are people in our society who are being deported against their constitutional rights because they're brown. We have laws being passed in our society taking away the rights of the LGBTQI community, going back on marriage equality, wanting to change the Constitution to prioritize white people. And if we're not doing little things like saying, I can't work for an organization like this, I can't do it, I cannot associate with you. We've got to make that stand, as difficult as that might be. And this is why I always say, we got to use our white privilege. We have to use it. Absolutely. Use it like you've never even considered using it before. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that was exactly what I've been thinking. I've been doing my best to, use my privilege where I could. And yeah, I really wanted to share the story and make it aware. And I really appreciate your thoughts on the matter. And I really appreciate all the work you do. It's very important.
Thank you, Brooke. I appreciate you saying that. Be safe out there, okay? Come back and let us know how it goes.
Awesome.
All right, see you later.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye. Seriously, guys. I mean, what more do we need to hear when we hear things like that? When we have, someone come up and tell us about the sheriff's department in Bucks County are now going to work with ICE. Where is the line, friends? Where is the line? Why are we still apathetic? Why are people on the left still triggered when I say it's all men until it's no man? Why? Why do you not like it? Yeah, Bucks County, PA, exactly. Why do you not like it when I call you out for not voting? Why do you not like it when I call you out for your protest vote? you're just as much to blame. Just as much to blame. Stop clutching your fucking pearls. Stop saying, oh, I voted for Kamala. I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you going to summer barbecue? Are you making plans for Memorial Day weekend to go celebrate with your neighbors and friends? And you're going to walk through their garage to their backyard and you're going to see the Trump flags hanging there? Are you going to stay? Are you going to stay? Are you? Because then you're just as much to blame. Family dynamic, I get it. That's a lot more complicated. I understand that. I understand, but still. Are you going to stay? Are you going to allow your kids to hang out with their kids? This is what we're talking about. You talk about the revolution? This is what we're talking about. They talk about a divided country. You're fucking right we're divided because I give a shit about people. I care about human rights. The LGBTQI community. I care about my indigenous population. I care about people who are disabled. The elderly. I care about people who are autistic on the spectrum. I fucking care. What are you saying to people when you hang your flag, you've got your BLM sticker on your car, you might go to a pride rally, you claim to be liberal, and then you'll show up in the neighborhood to go to your cookout because everybody else does it and you don't want to raise a stink? You're the one that stinks. You're the one that stinks. Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. I came up for one very specific reason to try to get the word out. In the last 5 minutes, the clown got hacked. I no longer have access to it.
Okay.
I contacted the person who had the account that DM'd me.
Okay.
She had gotten hacked, I guess a day or two ago. I guess old man Murphy got hacked. And what they're doing is they're trying to get to your cash accounts. So anybody out there who can hear this, change your freaking passwords. I have to run to work. I think I've lost the clown.
Have you filed like an appeal with TikTok?
I have to run to work. I don't know the process to go through.
Something. Yeah, something you can do when you get a moment later. You can try to file an appeal with TikTok and see if they can help you get your account restored. I've heard that happen before.
Yeah.
I think so I'm really sorry to hear about that, dude.
Yeah, and I thought, Steve's on, and I know that there are people listening who are mutuals with me. So, if you get a DM from the clown, it ain't me.
Somebody just messaged in the chat, this person I'm bringing up right now, said they might have some information about the hacking and everything else. Good morning, Fred. What's on your mind?
Hi, Steve. Hey, one of the things about the hacking, please make sure you know how many coins you have in your account. It happened to me. I woke up one morning and had 47,000 coins for over $4,000 worth. Contacted TikTok. They took them away, contacted the bank, and guess what? If you bought in coins before with your G wallet, I'm having to pay for it after 5 months of doing all this. And it's happened to 3 people I know. So if they're hacking into your cash accounts, make sure to watch your coins, know how many you have. And if you wake up with an enormous amount of coins, don't touch them and start contacting things right away and shut down the card that it was on.
Well,
that's good advice.
I appreciate that. Fortunately, I haven't set up any of those, and I didn't have that many coins.
Yeah, it's just another way that they're doing it. So please be careful on that, because TikTok has not answered me, so there's nothing I can do, because the bank said, well, you bought in coins before, which is true. So thanks for having me up, Steve. I just wanted to give that point of view as well, because it's happening to others.
Thank you for the update. I appreciate you, friend. Have a good day. Rusty, what I would suggest is just when you get stationary, just see if you can reach out to TikTok or try to change credentials if at all possible. But I'm sorry, dude. That's a drag.
I'm going to work on it. And I hate to derail you, but that...
No, it's all right.
Yeah,
all part of the fight. I got you.
And I know there's people out there who, like I said, are mutuals, and I'm afraid somebody's going to get a message, and the party continues.
Yeah, indeed. If the message is anything other than what it would normally be from the clown, I would question it. So let's put it that way.
It's funny because this person who, got her account hacked had been dealing with some issues on, her personal life, and she had just said, "Hey, I need your help." I said, "Sure, what's going on?" And said, "Hey, I just sent you a code. Can you tell me what the code is?" And I'm barely awake at that point. And I thought it was her. I went, "Sure, here's the code." Bang, account's gone.
Oof.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
well, let me reach out. Let me know what you find out, because then if there's anything that you find out that may be systemic, we can let people know.
Sure, absolutely, and that's why I popped in.
Okay, so I appreciate that, buddy.
I want to say in the last few minutes.
All right, everybody, keep your head on a swivel, so to speak. Lock down your passwords. Might be a good idea to change your password. I kind of do that pretty regularly anyway. But my password is "fuck you, Donald Trump." That's my password, everybody. It's not, but it should be. Thanks, pal. Keep me posted, okay?
You got it, buddy. Bye.
All right, talk to you later. All right, bye. That's wild. Shit, that sucks. Okay, so listen. I think we've made it very clear that I have an axe to grind with people who are apathetic. I have an axe to grind for people who continue to make excuses. I don't want to hear your woe is me bullshit. I really don't. I really don't want to hear your I sit in my space of privilege and I can criticize others. People are losing their fucking lives in our country because of the color of their skin, because of their orientation, because of their background, because of their immigration status. They're losing their lives. They're losing their freedoms. They're losing their way of life. Families are being impacted. People are being arrested. Homegrowns are next. Miss me with your entitled bullshit. Miss me with it.
Good morning.
Good morning, my friends. How are you?
I'm here. I'm loving this fire because I've been very much on the whole quote unquote friendly fire is on, because if you're going to speak one way and talk the talk, you're not walking the walk, I'm gonna clock that, like, legitimately. Last night on Brett's panel, we were talking about, younger people and college, students and things like that. And he's like, 18, 19-year-olds, you're not really an adult there. And I agree to an extent. But also in that same breath, I don't think you should be giving the younger people any kind of leverage, right? Not 18 or 19, but everyone was there at one point in time. The difference now is at 18 and 19, I had access to sources and I know exactly what I voted for, how I voted for it, and stay informed for it. And one of the biggest things I've been doing recently, especially in my own group of friends, is or specifically me, I've been calling out their hypocrisy. I said, you're no different than Republicans. If you're going to say that you stand with these people, and I see the fact that you're going to a known friend that is a massive Trump supporter, I don't know why the fuck you're there then. Why did you vote the way you voted? Why are you doing what you're doing? Like, I like this energy. I don't care anymore. I truly, honestly don't care anymore, because I would much rather know the fact that I was loud enough for you to hear me and you possibly not be my friend, rather just to sit there and be okay with what you're doing. Because if you sit at a table with a bunch of schnazzies, you become one by proxy. That's the biggest thing, and that was the biggest things we echoed prior to the election. So.
Yeah, it's compliance is complicity, right? Or whatever the term is. If you're not pushing back against it, then if you don't want to be considered a Nazi, then don't break bread with a fucking Nazi. It's just that simple. These are the conversations that I just don't think enough people are willing to have. Like, again, we become. So it's almost FOMO. So, like, you're going to be the one person in your neighborhood. You've grown up with these people. Your kids have grown up with these people. You've gone to basketball games together. You sat on the bleachers together. There's a cul-de-sac barbecue, and you and maybe your one neighbor are the only liberals there. Are you going to go? Are you going to go to that party? Are you going to be the ones that, why didn't you show up? I would say, well, I didn't show up because you voted to take human rights away. I didn't show up because you don't seem to care about the rule of law. I didn't show up because you don't care about the societal contract we have to protect each other. That's why I didn't show up.
Ask me why I don't show up to my family reunion, Steve. Ask me why I don't show up to my family reunion. Yeah, I
Why?
don't, it's the hardest decision to do, but even in general, I don't stand with my family members that voted for Trump. It's extremely hard to state the fact that my parents voted for Trump, right? All four of them, all my stepdad, my mom, my stepmom, and my dad, right? But I don't associate with them. Sure, I try to, still extend quote unquote an olive branch, but I don't like take it, right? I don't take time and like try to call them on a regular basis. I don't try, because you voted against me. You voted against me. You voted against my boyfriend. You voted against our relationship. You voted against your younger daughter. You voted against us, and you don't seem to care because you're like, well, the gas prices are down. No, the fuck they're not. What are you talking about? Like, what? It's at the end of the day, right? If you are okay with being quiet around your friends who claim they voted for Kamala Harris, and are doing the opposite of what Kamala or anyone stands for, especially, the creators you listen to, what are you doing? You're not doing anything beneficial. You're not doing anything correctly. You're not. Like, that's been my biggest thing. And I've been calling out the younger people, right? It's specifically my age demographic who voted or non-voted. And I said, you're no different. You are absolutely no different than a Trump supporter. You sat in your privilege primarily, and you were like, I don't have to vote this go around. And ultimately, you're going to get harmed in this mix. That's it. I don't care anymore. Right. I truly don't care.
I know, and you mentioned this, Olive, and somebody in the comments section. I understand the dynamic of family. I get it. And I know that families are divided over this, but it's not you that divided it, right? Ask yourself this question, right? You've got family dynamic, whether it be a brother or a sister or your parents or your children, and you ask yourself, what do you stand for? If you can stand in front of the mirror and say, I stand 10 toes down for the preservation of human rights. I stand for a woman's right to her body. I stand for protections for marginalized communities, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you stand for that, then you are on the correct side of history. Do not fucking relent on your ideological beliefs that preservation of human rights is the most important thing. Because without that, what else matters? Ask yourself that question, and then ask yourself again, why is it that you are the one to have to reach across the table? Why? And my suggestion is, you don't. You're not obligated to do that. So Zaz Blamey, yeah, it is my way or the highway. If you don't prioritize human rights, then what the fuck is wrong with you? So yeah, it is my way or the highway. It is.
I mean, that's where I've been. At the end of the day, human rights are constantly at risk. And even if you voted because my wallet felt better under Trump, that's not worth it. I would rather pay like $5 for fucking gas, $20 for fucking eggs to know the fact that my bodily autonomy is saved. I would much rather pay for that much if I could know that my friends and, my boyfriend is in a safe environment being a part of the BIPOC community. I would much rather pay so much more to know that everyone is safe and is able to receive the rights that they need rather than them being taken away inch by inch. But hey, at least gas is $3 right now. Like, It's not even cheaper. It's not even cheaper.
Nope, it's gone up. It's gone up since Inauguration Day, which again is which is why I talked earlier when I played that sound of his anti-Christian views and those Christian nationalists. That group of our society is extremely happy. Christian nationalists, because they got what they wanted. They've got what they've dreamed about. Their Christian orgasm has come true. They got exactly what they wanted. They wanted the hatred. They wanted the preservation of whiteness. They don't want women to have a place in society. They don't believe in DEI because they peaked in middle school and they can't compete on merit. This is what they want. This is what they got. This is why they're This is why they're so happy. This is why they're celebrating. And now we have people like Fred, who I dunked on last night in the debate live. This is with the most ridiculous flock and knack of whatever. You're part of the problem too, my guy, because you seem to think you're this pseudo-intellectual who understands the world. You don't know shit about anything because you're blinded by your own fucking hatred too. So you can go miss me with your bullshit.
I mean, again, like these people feel so empowered because this man's in here, and I think people need to understand we can make him uncomfortable still. Just because Trump doesn't mean we can sit quietly. You make everyone who voted for him so uncomfortable because that's what they need to know. You don't comply with what's going on. My favorite thing, and I've heard you, Matt, and so many others say this all the time, no different than, 1940s journey, right? Who you voted for dictated. who you voted for, right? If you can sit there and openly support Trump, you would have supported the mustache man. 110%. But that's my 2 cents. I also heard today that taxpayers are paying for Hegset's makeup room at the Pentagon.
Shocker.
Could you imagine? Like, my tax dollar, I want to know where they're going. Hegseth is telling you where they're going. You're paying for his makeup to be done before he talks to the press. You know,
golf
whiskey
trips and military parades.
Yep. That's where your money's going. I hope you're enjoying that, you know, not knowing the fact that this could be going to like the USAID and things like that. But wait, we don't care about that, right?
Yeah, like, waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
thank you, Olive. Love you, friend.
Love you.
See you later. Brings up, you know, a really good point. You know, again, it's a clear decision, right? It's a clear decision that many of us have to make, that you need to be. This is an example of your privilege. This is an example of the convenience and the entitlement that primarily white people have in our nation. You don't want to be uncomfortable. And God forbid you would make yourself uncomfortable by making a conscious choice to be uncomfortable, right? I was in a long-term relationship, and near the end, there was some warning signs that I saw that I missed based on a few things. And I'm glad that relationship ended. I'm really glad, because there was a real distinct difference between my approach to things, and I thought this person's approach to things were aligned, and they weren't. And it took a long time for me to realize that. These are the hard questions and decisions that we all are going to have to make. If you're going to come in here and expect me to stroke your hair and make you feel comfortable, I'm not. I'm not. I will listen, but I will call you out. This is not a safe space. If you expect me to agree with everybody on the left about things, you picked the wrong person. That's not me. Those of you who know me know that. I'm going to call out your bullshit, because I am tired of fucking waiting. I don't have, you know, I've got a hell of a lot in the rearview mirror than I do in the windshield. We've got too many things that are too fucking important. I've got too many people that I care about in this world that are being harmed because of apathy, because of laziness, because of entitled white people. Wake the fuck up. Seriously, wake the fuck up. All right. A couple of Truth Social posts that I want to get to this morning, just because there's a lot of news. This from the twice impeached, 4-time indicted sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, in all caps again. Remember, when you look at his Truth Social posts, or if you see posts on X and it's in all caps, it is by design. He is trying to tell you specifically that what I'm about to say is going to be a lie, but I don't want you to think otherwise. That's why I'm going to put emphasis on it. Oh, I have a voice for that. Do I have a voice for that?
The southern border is now the strongest and safest in USA history. It will remain so, and I did that in all caps so when I can lie to my gullible, mouth-breathing, troglodyte, smooth-brained base. The southern border is now the strongest and safest in USA history. It will remain so. MAGA 2024. Oh, I've got some more. Okay, here's this one. I'm not happy with the Russian strikes on Kyiv. Not necessary and very bad timing. Vladimir, stop. 5,000 soldiers a week are losing lives. Let's get the peace deal done. Okay?
So, again, I'm not happy with the Russian strikes on Kyiv. Not necessary, very bad timing. Vladimir, stop. So that's his approach. That's his heavy-handed approach to the president of Russia, aka Trump's daddy. Very different, though, when you are addressing the same thing in regards to Ukraine. So what did he have to say about President Zelensky? Okay.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is boasting on the front page of the Wall Street Journal that Ukraine will not legally recognize the occupation of Crimea. There's nothing to talk about here. This statement is very harmful to the peace negotiations with Russia, in that Crimea was lost years ago under the auspices of President Barack Hussein Obama, and it's not even a point of discussion. Nobody is asking Zelensky to recognize Crimea as Russian territory. But if he wants Crimea, why didn't they fight for it 11 years ago when it was handed over to Russia without a shot being fired? The area also houses, for many years before, the Obama handover major Russian submarine bases. It's inflammatory. Statements like Zelensky's that make it so difficult to settle this war. He has nothing to boast about. The situation for Ukraine is dire. He can have peace or he can fight for another 3 years before losing the whole country. I have nothing to do with Russia, but have much to do with wanting to save, on average, 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers a week who are dying for no reason whatsoever. The statement made by Zelensky today will do nothing but prolong the killing field, and nobody wants that. We are very close to a deal, but the man with no cards to play should now finally, in all caps, get it done. I look forward to being able to help Ukraine and Russia get out of this complete and total mess that never would have started if I were president.
Yeah, I know, right? The diplomacy. So let's think about what we just read there. We have, dribble going after the integrity of President Zelensky, right? Saying that Zelensky saying, listen, I'm not going to relent on Crimea. It was illegally invaded to begin with. Why should I give it up? It's Ukrainian territory. And Trump doesn't like the fact that Zelensky is standing up to him. But when we get his words towards Mr. Putin, I'm not happy with Russian strikes on Kyiv. Not necessary and very bad timing. Vlad, stop. 5,000 soldiers a week are losing their lives. Let's get the peace deal done. That's it. That's it. You want to tell us Crimea River Trump, exactly. Crimea River Trump. I love that. You want to tell us again that he's not leveraged by Russia? Don't forget, promises made that the war would end before he even was inaugurated. And we certainly know that that's not the case now, don't we? Yeah. That's ridiculous. Hazy, how are you?
I don't know.
Right?
I guess I was coming up and I hope it's okay. I have a little bit of a semi-polite vent. And it's about all the issues that you've been talking about this morning. So first of all, I've had the opportunity to be in Kiev. Went when I was younger. And I think what Trump is failing to realize is that these people have so much pride in their country and they've gone through so much that they are not going to back down. This is their land, and I fully support them. I actually was there just after the Orange Revolution in 2005, which was a huge movement. And these people literally went out and took down their government and painted the city orange. And then in the end, once it was all done, they cleaned it all up and were able to move forward. And that was within their own country. Putin can take a flight. Like, I hate to say it. I never wish death on anybody, but there's one person that needs to just move on out of this realm.
Agreed.
In terms of autism and all that, so I think I've mentioned before, I have a child that has gender dysphoria, transgender, has autism. She has intermittent explosive disorder, and we're a YT family. And unfortunately, we had to call the police recently, and we had 3 police show up at our house. And as things were progressing, unfortunately, they did end up arresting her and taking her out of the home. But as these 3 police were working their way through their home, my husband, who's 5'10", 230, so not a super tiny guy, but same size as one of the police, walked up behind them to hand me something. They didn't even flinch. And as this was all going on and my child's being taken out of the house, all I could think was, holy shit, if we would have been a family of color or a family of immigrants or anything to that effect, this whole situation would have went down differently. They sat with my child. They called a crisis line for my child. They made sure she was protected when she went to the attention center, because they don't call it like the next level up's detention here. They start with attention. And I just thought to myself, like, what the fuck? Like, I should not be treated any differently than anybody else on this planet. And there should not be anybody else that doesn't have the opportunity to be the same way that I'm treated. And that made me very emotional. And like, it was killing me, because I'm like, if we would have been a black household, this would have played out completely different. They would have slapped cuffs on her, taken her out of the house, and there would have been no consideration given to it.
That's your white privilege right there, right?
Yeah. And so I've been really trying to check that. And I still have a lot to learn. 100%. My husband, your fake debater.
Right. That was great. That was great.
He actually was in tears after trying to play a MAGA individual. He's like, I don't know how people can have this much hate in their heart. He said, it just doesn't make sense to me. Where we live, it is mostly red. Not completely, but mostly in Ohio. And it just, like, we're afraid to put a pride flag out. My husband wants to put the U.S. flag out upside down. We have someone in our neighborhood who actually paid professionally for someone professionally to come out and paint their entire fence. And it's a huge yard. They probably have about an acre of land. They painted their whole fence red, white, and blue, and then put comments on it about Trump, that he was great and he was wonderful and he's going to save us. And now they've had it professionally painted again. And they're like, well, we have to have peace and faith in our president. And I'm like, fuck that. Like, I'm sorry, but fuck it. Like, and as far as going to any event, with my daughter being transgender as it is, it took us a long time to learn boundaries. And with that right there, we had to cut people out. Like, that we saw their response initially and it was all positive, and then it turned negative. And her grandparents were, so we only have one set of grandparents on my husband's side. And they were doing good. They were showing that they were accepting. And then all of a sudden, she had an anxiety attack at their house, and my father-in-law started misgendering her. And I was like, fuck it. No, I will drive the whole way to Georgia from Ohio. I'm going to get my kid. This is not acceptable. I will not let them do this to my child. And he intentionally did it. And we found out after the fact that they were not supportive. And we cut ties. And that's my husband's parents. So at this point in time, if you are MAGA and you want me at your picnic, you can take your potato salad and shove it up your ass. And if you cannot support the other communities that are marginalized and not check yourself on your YT privilege, in my book, you're a fucking asshole. And I've been really emotional about this, because we've been going through hell with my daughter, with just hearings and things to that sort, because of course she was arrested. But, needless to say, like, I'm seeing all these things firsthand. And I don't like to read the comments while I'm up here, but whoever that flocking a what's his name is, go take a hike. I refuse to pray to anybody as a god. I do not believe in that. You want to go believe,
I just took out the trash.
Yeah. You want to believe in a man on earth as God, then you're fucking stupid. That's not the way it works. I am not religious. We're agnostic. I do not believe in big religion, because I don't want to say it was forced down my throat, but as a kid, it was, here you go. Like, we're going to church, and my family was Methodist, and they thought that was a very big thing, and you needed to be in church, and you needed to go through confirmation classes. And when I got into confirmation classes and they couldn't answer my questions, because my brain is very science geared, I was like, no, like, I don't want to go back through this. So I went through confirmation just for my grandfather's sake. They were staunch Democrats. So part of the Democratic National Committee, my grandmother actually participated at the Democratic National Committee for, I think it was Herbert Hoover. So very, like, she was there as a participant. But even today in this society, you know, they acclimated, they grew, they took the opportunity to take feedback. And jokingly, like, my grandmother used to tell me they were taking me out of the will if I voted for anything other than a Democrat, because she was so staunch. But today, like, I am just so disappointed in the world that we live in. I am so disappointed globally as to what's going on. I don't know what to do with my child because I need to protect her, but at the same time, like, we have to let our kids learn. And so that's been a rough one. And the world that she's living in does not accommodate her for being transgender if she does end up in attention centers. So yeah, for the people, the other thing was the autism piece.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
I was in an autism group for parents, and it's on Facebook, and people were like, this is a good thing because we can finally find the cause of autism. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do the research then. Let's put people back in places to do the research instead of taking funding away from research, because I don't need the government needing my kids' fucking medical records. Like, you want to just take this away and go dig into medical records? You're going to put a target on so many kids' backs.
Correct.
Like, it's bullshit. And I've pretty much told these people this, and they're like, well, I have autism and I want to know why. And I'm like, there isn't like one clear why. It's like having stress. There isn't one clear why that causes stress for people, or everyone would be able to identify that.
It's all part of the same thing, right, Hazy? And then I want to get to somebody else who's requesting. But it's all part of the same thing. It's about the misinformation, right, and the lies and the deception, and they use the fuel of that to tap into someone's faith to say it's justified. And that's the most dangerous part. I think you're doing everything right. I would not be afraid to put a flag up. I really wouldn't. I don't think it's joy. Resistance is joy. And if hanging a flag to represent your daughter, your son, your family, if that gives you joy, then do it. Don't let them take that away from you. Seriously. I understand what you're dealing with. I get it. But at some point, if we don't, and you said something, you don't understand the world we live in. It's not the world we live in. It's the world that they live in. True. It's not the world that we live in. It's the world that they live in. There are more of us, but more of us need to be a lot louder. Hazy, thank you for being here today. Protect your peace.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Thank you for the chance to vent.
You got it. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. I think that's I think that's kind of the point, right? Again, let's use our privilege, friends. Let's use it. I had a pride flag hanging on a tree in my front yard that got ripped down over the winter. Now, initially I thought maybe it was because of weather, but as the snow melted, I noticed there were tire tracks on my front lawn, and it pulled down a branch on this crabapple tree that I've been maintaining for a very long time. So then that got me thinking, really? Because it seemed so, I thought initially that it might have been a snowplow because it's right on the corner of the road, but nope, somebody did that intentionally. I put another one back up. In fact, I put another one up. There are now two. There's a Ukrainian flag. It's behind me in my office. I don't give a fuck. I really don't care. But remember, it's their world that we don't understand. I'm pretty sure I know what mine is. Preservation of human rights and dignity. Right? Fuck the rest of them. They don't want to play by the rules. I don't give a shit. Neither will we. I don't care. Tapping is clapping, friends. Please continue to give. Please continue to support the channel. If you'd like to contribute by subscribing, please do so at FactsStillMatter.site. We can find the link in the Facts HQ. Also, if you are interested in supporting what we do here, I would really appreciate that. Never expected, but always appreciated. Pay after above. PayPal as well. Hi, Ash. I would really appreciate that. Feedback. You've got a lot of feedback, Ash. If you could just swipe out of the app and then come right back in, and we can, hopefully that will allow that to reset. You can turn on your microphone. Hey, Tony. Ash, you can unmute now. Ash, you can just, the microphone button that's on the bottom of your screen, you can just click that. Okay, if you want to request again, feel free. Bring it right back up. All right, so we were just speaking briefly about RFK. Sadly, I do have to play a little bit of sound from him. He was asked when he was running for the presidency how he would address firearm violence. And we certainly know that the Kennedy family in particular has been affected by firearm violence in our nation. So I'd like you to hear what he had to say, and then I have a counter, of course, because of course I do.
Violence since 1996. And NIH needs to be studying them to see if there's connections to some of the SSRI and psychiatric drugs people are taking, whether there's connections to video games.
So I think you heard the sound. So his response to the epidemic of firearm violence in our nation is to find something other than the firearms themselves to blame, like most people do. He says the NIH should be studying this. Well, I agree. Here's the problem. We have this little thing in our nation called the Dickey Amendment. The Dickey Amendment restricts federal funding on certain things like firearm violence, for example, right? Who do you think continues to not want to repeal the Dickey Amendment? Who do you think that might be? I'll give you a hint. It's the entire fucking GOP. Because repealing the Dickey Amendment means that they lose NRA, exactly. They lose the lobby. They lose the money from the NRA to keep this on the books. What the Dickey Amendment does, similarly to funding for cannabis research to make cannabis legal federally, why shouldn't it be? Where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that resistance comes from? Big pharma, the health insurance industry. Of course, they don't want to treat people with things that would be outside of the scripts that they write so that they continue to enrich themselves. So the Dickey Amendment restricts federal funding being used to investigate the impact of certain things. And in particular, in this case, it's firearm violence. Thank you, Jay Nice. Follow what, everybody? Follow what? Follow the fucking money. Okay? So we have a society that is broken on so many levels, and there are so many people that are standing there that could do something about it. The same people that complain about these kinds of things are unwilling to do anything about it. If you want to root out, if you want to find a root cause, if you want to think that firearm violence is related to video games or SSRIs or psychedelics or whatever, then repeal the Dickey Amendment so we can spend money on it and research it and determine that. Then we would know. But no, you don't want to do that. You know why you don't want to do that? Because we know that the problem is the gun epidemic. We know that there are over 450 million firearms in our country. We know that. Now you want to study so the connection between mental health and whatever it might be. Sure, let's have that conversation. But we can't because of things like the Dickey Amendment. So get that overturned. Repealed, I keep saying overpealed. Overturned or repealed. Do that. Here's a better thought. Elect progressives. Because they will. Elect progressives. Bernie and AOC in Montana drew like 12,000 people. In Montana. Same thing in Idaho. Watch where they're going, right? They're going to Idaho. They're going to Montana. They're going to red districts. They're going to Bakersfield, California, and Folsom. Folsom Prison. They're going to Folsom. That's where they're going, right? Because the wrong Amazon is burning. The wrong ice is melting. That's where they're going because they're saying enough of this shit. This affects you guys as well. And the crowds are freaking out that they're there. And the only response that we get are things like this from Caroline Levitt, KKK Caroline Levitt, and how she views, or this is what she wants the American conservatives to believe. Okay?
The Democrat Party is full-blown crazy. Their motto should be illegal immigrant criminals first and American citizens last.
Wow.
Because that's exactly what they are doing. You have seen Democrat elected officials who swear an oath to stand up for their constituents and law-abiding American citizens, spending more time advocating for illegal alien criminals, gangbangers, and wife-beaters in the case of Abrego Garcia from Maryland. It's despicable, it is disgusting, and we are going to continue to call them out. And this administration is going to continue to fully enforce our nation's immigration laws.
Okay, so on True Social, this is what doubling down the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted felon had to say.
The Democrats are fighting like hell to, this is in all caps in case you guys didn't know, because I'm about to lie to you. So I have to do it in all caps so that you believe me because you're so stupid that whatever I say, as long as I put it in all caps, you'll believe it. Okay? Okay. The Democrats are fighting like hell to keep murderers and all other types of criminals solidly in the United States of America. They have gone crazy and are only getting worse. Trump 2024.
Caroline Levitt again.
The Democrat Party is full-blown crazy. Their motto should be illegal immigrant criminals first and American citizens last, because that's exactly what they are doing. You have seen Democrat elected officials who swear an oath to stand up for their constituents and law-abiding American citizens, spending more time advocating for illegal alien criminals, gangbangers, and wife-beaters in the case of Abrego Garcia from Maryland. It's despicable, it is disgusting, and we are going to continue to call them out. And this administration is going to continue to fully enforce our nation's immigration.
Nice, right? Cool. Hi, Cage. How are you?
Hi, I can verify that Levitt is lying. I live in the DMV. I actually live in there. Every day on our local news, his wife is begging for him to come back. She has never one time said that he was a gang member or a wife beater. I can tell you that I know that this is true because it comes on our local news. She has denied those allegations over and over and over again. And for you Trumpers in here, before you start telling me I'm lying, why don't you go online and watch our news in D.C.? Not once has this woman ever said that this man has ever put his hands on her. She is on the news practically every day begging for her husband's return. Begging. This man is not a gangbanger. These people are lying as per usual to save face. They fucked up. That's what it boils down to. They fucked up. They got the wrong one. And now they are doing what all narcissists, psychopaths, and dark triads do. They are now blaming the victim, slandering him. Okay? They are and I am a narcissistic abuse coach. They are slandering this man and disparaging his name because they fucked up. The same way Hedgebeth fucked up with those signal posts. They are not going to take responsibility. They sent this man back to a country he was fleeing from because his family had been persecuted. And yet, as per usual, the YT conservatives will sit there and go, oh, we did the world a favor.
Plastic.
Sorry.
You know, we did the world the favor. This man is from my state. He hasn't done any of those things. We have seen interview after interview after interview, at least here in the DMV, of his wife talking about this, talking about they have the wrong person, talking about him being a loving father, talking about him being a loving husband, talking about him working hard, talking about what he's done in the community. And yet and still, because the conservatives yet again fucked up, now they're slandering him. They're doing the same thing that they did to George Floyd. Oh, he had a record. He had a this. It's amazing to me. I don't know how conservative white folks are able to do the mental gymnastics it takes to be able to sleep at night with the things that they do to innocent people. I just don't get it. How do y'all sleep at night? Because everything that they're saying about this man is a lie. I live in the state of Maryland. I live right outside the DC line. None of these allegations is true. They got the wrong person. And now, so that his base can feel good about him, basically making a brown person suffer and terrorizing the rest of my neighbors with this, because I live in a very multicultural part of the city. Now all the conservatives are cheering. What are you going to do? And this is my question. What are you going to do when BRICS rises up and starts to say they're not dealing with you? They're already devaluing the dollar because people are sick of this shit. Correct. What are you going to do when the rest of the world says, okay, we're banding together to take on the bully? What are you going to do? Because at that point in time, your illustrious president is going to go down in his little bunker and leave y'all to have to sit there and suffer the consequences of his actions.
Correct.
What bothers me the most about this is typical. It's typical of white conservatives to make accusations. They're unfounded, and then go around talking about, oh no, we didn't make a mistake. They've proven twice already that they made a mistake with him not being part of the gangs. Because, like I said, I live here. They're saying on our news he was not part of a gang. We're fighting for him in this state because he's innocent. Not because he's an immigrant, but because he's innocent.
Correct. Everybody should. That's right.
Come on.
I want everybody. I want conservative. I want Trump voters. I want people that I vehemently disagree with politically to have protections under the law regarding due process.
Exactly.
Period. Full stop. Right?
Yeah.
It's all about due process.
Yeah. If you're innocent, then you should not be treated this way. And the thing that kills me is I keep saying this, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. And Steve, you know me well enough now to know, if you think that he's going to stop at black and brown people, you have lost your mind.
Exactly.
And
we already know homegrowns, right, Cage? We already know homegrowns. Yeah. Criminals that they don't like, or maybe have a slant politically, could just be shipped off to El Salvador. Who knows? You might not see me again. I'll send you a postcard from CCOT.
Not Seriously. Just that, he can come into my neighborhood and my community and many communities like ours and decide that somebody walking down the street, which already happens in the black community where you fit a description, they can just pick us up at will.
Exactly.
Because we fit a description and then ship us off and then say, oops, no, they had a record. I don't have a record for anything. I've had a couple of parking tickets. I've had a couple of speeding tickets, but I don't have a record.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But that will not save me from being, I'm sorry. I'm really frustrated with this case.
No, I got you. I got you. You don't need to apologize. I got you.
It would be different if he was part of MS-13. Then I'd be like, okay, you got him. All right, you got him. But he was
still give him due process, though. But still give him due process, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let the courts do their job. There's a reason why the Constitution is written the way it is written, and we are in the middle of a constitutional crisis right now. In case people don't understand what's going on, because if the Supreme Court can tell you to do something and you go, nah, I'm not going to do it, then the rule of law means nothing in this country anymore.
You can hang if you want.
Everybody should be afraid of that.
You can hang if you want for a minute. I'm just going to let Moth do some Mod announcements. I'm going to just go refresh some water. I'll be right back. Moth, Thank you for being here, friend. Good timing. I'll be right back.
All right. Good morning, Cage. How are you?
I'm a little frustrated because I'm just, I keep seeing and this is just not true. If his wife is on the news every day, and we're talking about it in the DMV about how wrong it is and how they're just making this up so that they can get away with imprisoning people they don't like. Yeah. And people don't realize this is the start. Many of my neighbors have left. Just go to work and come home. That's it.
Yeah, it's scary times. Morning, Sarah. And Benny, hey, bestie. Well, real quick, I just wanted to come up and let's get those taps and those shares going. Let's get up to 300K. Make sure you're gifting Steve. gift cage while she's up here. You know, what else do we got? Let's get those taps and those shares going. Make sure that you go to the FactsStillMatter.site and subscribe. Make sure that you join the Discord. The link for the Discord is in Steve's bio. If you have any issues with the link, just reach out to me or one of the other mods, and we can help you out with that. We can get you all set up. Once you get into the Discord, just be patient with us while we work through tickets. We usually have quite a few tickets as quickly as possible. Fish just said in the contacted by the stolen Rusty account, so if you were friends with that account, make sure that you're watching out for that.
Good call.
Just in case anybody missed it, Rusty came up earlier and said that his account was hacked, and it looks like now it is making the rounds and messaging people. So don't give any information. Don't if they ask for a code or whatever, don't do that.
That's right. Just real quick, I generally don't initiate conversations through direct message via TikTok. So if you get something from me, it's very likely not me. I respond because you guys can imagine I get a lot of direct messages. It's like 95% are unaliving threats that I get. The rest I try to respond to as long as it's not something crazy. But you generally don't get a reach out from me. Like I'm not going to initiate a conversation with you via direct message. So that's just a cautionary tale because I'm going to imagine that we're all kind of under threat. But thank you for that reminder, Moth. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I just saw that Fish said in the comments that he got a message from that account. So it looks like they're going to be trying to get maybe some other bigger accounts and things like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, friend, for taking us through that. I appreciate you very much.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm fired up.
Yeah.
Overslept, which means I slept a lot. So that's good.
I know the feeling.
I wish that was my problem today. I woke up from a horse dog flopping on top of me at like 5 o'clock this morning.
Oh man, that's crazy.
We need to go outside, so
yes.
Oh, you guys are lucky. I helped my dad up the other day and wrenched my back. So I've been dealing with back pain and Flexeril and painkillers for the past 3-4 days.
That's quite the cocktail.
Steve,
Moth, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Yes.
Are you zen?
Yes.
Are you zen
I am
today?
fucking zen, Moth. Thank you very much for asking. I appreciate you. See you later, my friend. Talk to you later. Cage, anything else that you'd like to add? You are muted. There you go.
Okay.
Anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, look, you may not like the Trump people may not like people of color, the LGBTQA plus community. You may not like women. A lot of you don't. You may not like marginalized communities, but we still, under the Constitution, have are supposed to have due process. Sorry.
Correct.
People who come to this country who are accused of a crime are still supposed to have due process. That has been what differentiates us from everyone else. Because if you go to other countries, we saw what happened with Brittany Griner, and I used to live in Lithuania. It is no joke. You get accused, you go to jail. This is one of the few countries that you go to jail, you can post bond. That is not possible in Asian countries. You sit in a jail cell until your trial date, which could be anything from 24 hours to 2 years. People don't appreciate what we had, and I say had because at this point, we are living under a dictatorship. And for all of y'all who are clapping, because I read an article that said the only reason that the Trumpers are still pushing for his support is even though they are suffering, they feel it's okay as long as people like us are suffering more. Now, that's just a really sick mentality to have. I don't care if it hurts as long as they're hurting you more. That's
exactly the point, Cage.
Yeah, that not only shows a lack of self-awareness, it shows a lack of empathy, and it also shows that you're selfish. And the thing about it is, you want everybody else to live like you, look like you, act like you, or if we don't do those things, be forced to at least assimilate, because conservatives need to see themselves in everything and everyone everywhere. Well, that's not the case. You don't make up the global majority.
So well said.
At this point,
I appreciate you.
I'm gonna land my plane real quick. Let me land my plane real quick, Steve.
Sure. Go for it.
the thing is, what you all have to understand is the other side rooted for everybody. The conservative side, and conservatism means, in a nutshell, keeping things the same. It means to preserve.
Exactly.
The rest of us were voting for everybody. You were voting for yourselves. And trust me, he's coming for you next. I did a video that talked about that, about you. The Trumpers think that they're in the better position. He's coming for you next. Sean Hannity is upset because they're coming for him and his taxes. So when y'all say daddy's home, and I'll leave it at this, Stephen, I promise I'll land it with this. Daddy's home, but he's walking through the door, and he's beating everybody's ass. You walk through the door, he's going to beat your ass. He's beating your friends' asses who are over at the house. He's beating everybody's ass because you're in the house. That's the kind of daddy you have. That's the kind of daddy you voted in.
So they wanted. Thank you, Cage. I'm always smarter whenever I talk to you. Appreciate you, friend. Be safe out there. Talk to you soon.
See you later. Bye.
All right, bye. She's so right. Oh my gosh. The daddy obsession is very strange. Mac in America, how are you today?
Oh, am I up? I didn't request.
Okay, no problem. Is anything on your mind?
Well, no more than the fact that I don't know where my country is going. I feel like we could go backwards, but I do think that we're going to hold and keep things. After we get through this, we're going to be okay. So I try to be optimistic. But yes, there's a lot going on. You feel like some of your rights are being taken away. And whatever you can do, I guess you need to do it.
That's right. It's well said. That's why we talk about it, Mac. Thanks for being here, friend. I appreciate you. Have a good day.
Thank
okay?
you. You're welcome.
All right. Somebody mentioned that Candace Owen has spoken out against the Trump administration. I've not seen that, but he's been very active. The twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, has been very active on Truth Social today. So here is another diatribe, or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Harvard is an anti-Semitic, far-left institution, as are numerous others, with students being accepted from all over the world that want to rip our country apart. The place is a liberal mess, allowing a certain group of crazed lunatics to enter and exit the classroom and spew freight caps, anger, and hate. It is truly horrific. Now, since our filings began, they act like they are all American apple pie. Harvard is a threat to democracy.
Hold on. Holy fuck. That statement.
Harvard is a threat to democracy. With a lawyer who represents me, who should therefore be forced to resign immediately or be fired. He's not that good anyway. And I hope that my very big and beautiful company, now run by my sons, gets rid of him ASAP. Wow.
Harvard is an anti-Semitic far-left institution. The place is a liberal mess. They spew liberal. Just real quick, let's just take a quick pivot to the 14 characteristics of fascism. One is this: disdain for intellectuals and the arts. Fascist nations tend to promote and tolerate open hostility to higher education and academia. It is not uncommon for professors and other academics to be censored or even arrested. Free expression in the arts is openly attacked, and government often refuses to fund the arts. Interesting. Harvard is an anti-Semitic, far-left institution. Okay. Wow. Wow. That is just staggering to listen to that shit, considering the majority of his cabinet and members of the Senate in particular are probably Ivy League school grads. Hi, Vision. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. What's on your mind?
I heard you talking about like how the arts is underfunded, and everything he's doing right now is sheer ridiculousness. MAGA, if you're listening, wake up, because if you have kids who go to school, do you know that they don't have any time in PE? And a good chunk of the schools, they don't even have arts, especially if you live in New York where the space is limited. But that should not mean that kids have to shell out thousands upon thousands of dollars just to take classes in your local space. Like, think for a second.
I know. I'm glad you said it the way that you did it. As somebody who grew up in the arts are an important part of my family. My children are all excel in various artistic endeavors, and we always know, even under normal conditions, the arts and humanities education are always the ones that are cut. But now, no, they don't want creative thinkers. They want robots. They want more slaves for capitalism. That's what they want. They don't want it. They don't want an educated society. No, hell no. Nope.
Exactly. That's the problem.
You're right. You're right. I appreciate you, my friend, as always. Good to talk to you. Have a good day, okay? See you later.
Too.
All right, bye. My God, can you imagine? Like, what was that again? Like, I forgot the actual statement. That doesn't even matter. I don't even fucking care anymore with that piece of shit, but we'll talk about it every single day. We will talk about it. Benny, I see you. I'll get to you next, buddy. Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
I'm okay. I was sorry. I was thinking about this morning when they were talking about stock market on TV. I got to realizing something. Trump, when he took office, he was already upset because, stock market was doing great under Biden.
Sure was.
Well, now I bet you will be hearing soon how he got the stock market to do a big climb, and he's not going to let them realize it's a big climb from when he let it slide.
Correct. Yeah, he's what's referred to as the poison and the cure, right? He intentionally tanked the market so he and his cronies could enrich themselves to the tune of trillions of dollars of wealth transferred since this has happened. And when the stock market recovers, because it has a tendency to recover, he will take credit for it. Yep. And his mouth breathing, smooth brain potatoes will say, see, we told you. You're right, though.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that, friend. I appreciate you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye. On that topic, I think this is important to mention. Couple of different things as it relates to the trade war, right? So let's start with Mexico first. So there's reporting from KTLA in Los Angeles. The Trump administration has put ads on Mexican TV against criminal aliens, and it has angered the Mexican government. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, who I freaking love, has announced legal reforms to prevent propaganda from foreign governments against Mexicans. The advertising campaign by Trump's administration with a message centered on criminals are not welcome, referring to illegal migration to the United States, reached Mexican broadcast television during primetime hours, prompting a response from Mexican authorities. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has announced reforms to prohibit paid foreign propaganda following a broadcast television ad featuring U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem speaking against illegal immigration. Today or tomorrow, the reforms will be sent to Congress so that no foreign government or entity of any foreign government can pay to be able to broadcast these ads as propaganda that is a discriminatory message, Sheinbaum said during her press conference. For weeks, the commercial has been available in Mexico on digital platforms like YouTube, but since early April has been airing primarily on Televisa and other media outlets. Last week, a letter was sent to Televisa asking them to stop broadcasting it. It's against the law, a senior official from Mexico's Ministry of the Interior said. But this Monday, at the express request of Mexican media, Sheinbaum addressed the issue and throughout the day garnered support from all political parties and the leaders of the Mexican Chamber of Deputies and the Senate against the U.S. campaign against illegal immigration. If you are a criminal alien, this is from Kristi Noem, this is the quote. If you are a criminal alien considering entering America illegally, don't even think about it. she said in her message, which aired on broadcast television during soccer games and primetime audience programmings. The 30-second message, a shortened version of the original lasting just over a minute. In it, it's Nome, by the way, Gnome, Christy Nome. In it, Noem speaks about Trump's immigration plan and accuses previous administrations of allowing not only the illegal entry of migrants, but also de-trafficking. Scheinbaum will seek to revive a section of Mexico's federal telecommunications law, which was repealed in 2014 during Enrique Peña Nieto's presidency from 2012 to 2018. This will prohibit foreign governments from paying traditional media outlets or social networks to broadcast propaganda in Mexico. They are using the power of their own laws to say enough of this bullshit. Radio and TV broadcasters, quote, may not broadcast political, ideological, or commercial propaganda of foreign governments or entities, nor may they allow media outlets operating under them to be used for purposes that could influence internal affairs, the section states. Scheinbaum announced that the government's National Council to Prevent Discrimination sent a letter to the media asking them to withdraw Noem's ad because it contains a discriminatory message, attacks human dignity, and could encourage acts of rejection or violence toward migrants. In early February, to avoid Trump's tariff, Mexico launched Operation Northern Border, with which Mexican authorities seized more than 24 tons of illicits, including 129.24 kilograms of fentanyl, according to reports from Mexico's Ministry of Security and Citizen Protection released in early April. Keep in mind that was a program that had already been initiated. They just added more staff. So the Mexican president, standing up to bullshit. China. Let's move to China. China says, this is reporting from the AP, this came out this morning. China says there are no negotiations with the U.S. over tariffs. This morning, China denied U.S. President Trump's assertion that the two sides were invoked in active negotiations over tariffs. Trump came out on Truth Social and also at a presser saying, oh yeah, we're negotiating. China's going to give in. China's like, nope. Let's see. China denied President Trump's assertion that the two sides were involved in active negotiations over tariffs, saying that any suggestion of progress in this matter was as groundless as, quote, trying to catch the wind. China's comments came after Trump said Tuesday that the final tariff rate on China's exports would come down substantially from the current 145%. He is losing. China's position is consistent, and we are open to consultations and dialogues, but any form of consultations and negotiations must be conducted on the basis of mutual respect and in an equal manner, said Ministry of Commerce spokesman He Yidong. Any claims about the progress of China-U.S. trade negotiations are groundless as trying to catch the wind and have no factual basis. Trump had told reporters earlier this week that everything's active when asked if he was engaging with China, although his Treasury Secretary has said there were no formal negotiations. Trump has put a 145% tariff on imports from China, while China hit back with 125% tariffs on the U.S., while Trump has given other countries a 90-day pause on tariffs as their leaders pledged to negotiate with the U.S., China remained the exception. Instead, Beijing raised its own tariffs and deployed other economic measures in response while vowing to fight to the end. For example, China restricted exports of rare earth minerals and raised multiple cases against the U.S. at the WTO. China's like, you gonna play in my face? I'm gonna kick your ass. China holds the leverage, friends. They hold all the leverage. They hold all the leverage. We are a consumption society. We want cheap goods. We want trinkets. We want widgets that are all manufactured in China. Those things will never be manufactured here. They hold the leverage. They are not messing around. This is a trade war that he is going to lose again in an effort to show his base, his Christian nationalists, fueled by hate base, that they're owning the libs. That's it. They have the cards. That's it. Boom. Game over. Okay. I've got a few other things that I want to kind of play here. See if I can find the right one. So let me bring up Benny first. He's been waiting patiently. And then we'll move on to the rest of our conversation. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Let's see if we can get to 400K. That'd be great. I'd appreciate y'all. And thank you for your support today. Really appreciate it. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Oh, friendly neighbor from up north. How's it going, eh?
It's going, eh?
Oh, mental health check-in. How we doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm fired up.
Good. I'm
angry.
stressed out. Stressed out pretty hard.
I get it.
Well, we got our Canada's got our federal election happening Monday, so that's been. I'm trying to remain hopeful.
What's the general prognosis or the prediction? What are the polls saying? I haven't been paying attention.
We're looking at a liberal majority, very likely, but I mean, there's still time where things could turn around. So I'm trying to be hopeful, but I'm also like a bit of hesitation because I don't want to get my hopes up and be disappointed. So we'll see. Okay. Partner and I are going to go vote on Monday, do our part, and just hope for the best.
Good. Yeah, that's all we can do, right? That's I'm sure, obviously this is an important election for your country, and it's certainly important for ours as well, because there needs to be continued resistance to the bullshit we're seeing from our president.
Well, I mean, Trump is scared of Carney, and I don't know if you saw the clip that's been making the rounds. Good old Professor Kermit or Dr. Jordan Peterson, or Jorpy, as I like to call him. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast again. And he was going on about how, and Trump, he's scared of Carney. Carney's a very well-connected man. He's the kind of guy that's going to put his foot in the sand there. And basically, it's Jordan Peterson saying that Carney's the real deal, and Trump is actually scared of him.
Yeah, I think Trump is scared of most leaders who are not autocrats. I think he thinks that Putin and Xi Jinping and Orban and others like him and respect him, and Bukele and Bolsonaro. I think whatever his name is, Bolsonaro. I think he thinks they all respect him or fear him. They mock him. They think he is a useless idiot that they can potentially use to benefit themselves. And people like Justin Trudeau and soon to be hopefully Prime Minister Carney reelected or elected will show him that you can't mess around. Claudia Sheinbaum's already made it very, very clear. Keir Starmer has made it very, very clear. You're not gonna bully us. It's not gonna happen.
Did Carney already get? So yeah, how our system here works is that Carney was elected the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada, and because Justin Trudeau was the previous leader of the Liberal Party, he stepped down. Carney comes in, and therefore he was kind of like grandfathered into the role. Our system's just different here, but yeah. So there's an election going on where he's in the running for it, and it's basically going to determine if Canada is going to maintain our sovereignty or bend over and become the 51st state, which none of us want.
Exactly. Well, Benny, keep us posted, will you? Or maybe report back after Election Day. I'm just curious about what the energies look like. I'll be curious about how voter turnout, things like that. I think really
I'll check back in on Monday, and I'll try to post what I can up in the Discord there. So if anybody's interested, I'll try to find what sources that I can. There's going to be no shortage of videos and lives going on that day, so I'll keep folks in the loop there. And I'll leave it at that, Steve. I won't take up any more of your time. Always good to talk to you, buddy. I know it's been a little while since it's been on, but poking in, saying, hey, checking in with my folks and making sure everyone's A-okay. And, hey, as I always say, elbows up and keep your stick on the ice.
Thank you, my friend. Talk to you later. Be safe out there. Love Benny. That's awesome. Hang on one second. I just got to deal with this family text. Hang on a sec. Everybody's good. Okay, good. Making graduation plans here. Things are moving quickly. It's chaos in my household at the moment, but that's good. It's a good kind of chaos. Okay. I found this story about how we talk about fascism a lot because it's what we see, right? And there's always the root cause or what's behind it. In this case, it's the oligarchs. In many cases, they're the ones that are funding it. And in particular, I think we can really look at big oil, big tech, big pharma, those three. This story or this analogy I'm going to read for you is specifically focusing on big oil. So big oil is fueling American fascism. The fossil fuel CEOs who bankroll Trump's presidency know that their industry is dying. The only way to keep selling their dirty, expensive product is to hold our country captive and force us to use it. It may not feel like this here at home, but other countries are rapidly developing green technology and infrastructure to move off of fossil fuels, right? We've seen this for decades. Did you know that Chinese research has produced an affordable electric car that charges fully in 5 minutes? BYD is the company, by the way. Not that we'll ever see it here. Never going to see it here. Fossil fuel billionaires are losing their grip on the rest of the world, so they're doubling down on America. They see the change globally, people moving towards sustainable infrastructures, developing high-speed rails. If you've ever been to Europe, and you go by the side of any major highway, whether it be the Autobahn or whatever that might be, what you see is a system of rail networks, high-speed rail. My daughter was commenting, taking her trip from Paris down to the south of France on a high-speed rail, right? So that's what these other countries have already made that transition, and then moving moving away from dependencies on foreign fuel. They, for one, spend a lot more money on it from the consumer at the pump price, right? So why not us here? Well, that's because big oil won't let us. In America, they see the chance to buy out politicians and install authoritarians. Big oil financed Trump's campaign, and he's paying his debt by attacking anyone who challenges them. Our country has so much money, there's no reason not to do what must be done and reap the rewards of a Green New Deal. High-speed trains zipping here and there, upgraded affordable housing, cheap energy, healthy food grown on family farms, millions of good, high-paying green jobs. Most Americans want a Green New Deal, but big oil knows that it would mean their demise. They're scared, so they've seized our government. Because of them, we're on track to become a walled-off backwater, marveling through our phone screens at green technology that we'll never have. Drinking contaminated water and breathing toxic air in tribute to our big oil overlords. Oil and gas CEOs bankrolled Trump because they want a dictator to force their poison down our throats. Fascism is what happens when big business feels so threatened it lashes out to try and keep us in line. So remember this, their cruelty is a sign of their desperation. We can face these men with courage. It's primarily white men. A confidence in our power to break free. Our movement is organizing students and young people into ever-growing mass strikes. We're seeing it everywhere. If you've been looking for a solution, try this. Through mass non-cooperation, we'll expose Trump's corruption and shut down the status quo. Together, we can rise up to topple the fascists and hold big oil accountable for their crimes. We all have an important role to play. I am no judgment from me unless you don't do something. If you have the capacity to do something, whatever it might be, then you got to do it. Right? So I know Exxon announced the most profit in history. And the media tells us that immigrants are the problem, right? They're crimes. They're crimes against humanity. They're crimes against the planet. They're crimes against democracy. They are flat out crimes. When we talk about the oligarchy, and again, a reminder that AOC and Bernie are drawing massive crowds in deep red states. Massive crowds. 10, 12,000 people. In some of the I was reading some of the stats. They're saying that based on registration and based on the population of the areas they're going to, it's like 10 or 12% of the people that are showing up at these rallies are independents. I'm sorry, 15% independents, and between 9 and 10% are Republicans. So imagine that. When you're talking about an election that was decided by what, 200,000 votes in swing states, that's massive. That's a massive shift. So these are the kinds of things that we're talking about. They're out there doing the work. They are out there doing the work. Bernie is going to go down fighting. He's going to go down fighting, and I fucking love it, right? Yeah, he does. He does have an axe to grind, but good for him. He's got a right to have an axe to grind. Okay, feisty Georgia will run for the president in 2028. Is that the goal? Do I think AOC is going to run for president in 2028? I don't know. I think I see her running for Senate to replace Chuck Schumer personally. Feisty Georgian, how are you today?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing okay. What's on your mind?
I don't know that many folks my age come up to speak with you. I'm a 76-year-old, almost 76-year-old, and I don't see many folks my age coming up to speak about how this is affecting us as far as Social Security. And I know nothing's written in stone yet, but my husband and I are fine. But I worry about those that are totally dependent on Social Security. What are they going to do? How are we going to help them? I wish I was younger, and I do have some very serious health problems. I cannot get out to the protests, and all I can do is speak my piece. And of course, being in Georgia, I'm just a little blue speck.
Yeah, well, again, you're not. Your voice matters, and you're right. We don't get. First of all, good for you for being on TikTok.
I love my TikTok.
Yeah, your demographic is not really highly represented in this space, so good for you. But you're right? I mean, it's your money. You paid into it. Social Security benefits that you're getting, you paid for. You're entitled to it. I'm entitled to mine. People are paying into it, entitled to all theirs, right? And we've known that the Republican Party is going after every single entitlement program there is, whether it be Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you name it, they're going after it. Because
I know.
They have to, because they can't afford to pay their oil and their pharmaceutical overlords unless they do.
Yeah. And, I think about what just breaks my heart is what's happened to humanity? What has happened to humanity in this country? And I know there's still some left, but so much of it, people have no humanity. And I knew when on June 16th, 2015, when Agent Orange came down those golden escalators, I thought, this is not good. And it's just gotten worse since. And I'm just devastated.
You must have got a phone call. You just went on Teacup, Feisty. You can request again if you want to come back up. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, she's right. Obviously, I'm just. It's the same old drill. I don't mean to be redundant, but it's the same thing that we see every single day, right? It's the same thing. And then I think about people that are out there fighting the fight. I think about people like Bernie, and I think about people like AOC, and I think about people like Pete Buttigieg, who has been very, very vocal. And I really like Pete. He's not really progressive enough for me, though. Like, I want him to be more progressive. I don't want him to talk about little incremental changes to the Affordable Care Act. I want him to go out publicly and use his platform to say, I'm going to demand universal health care. And I want to bring people who are going to be elected into office to support that as well, so we can do this. But Pete's out doing the work. So this is what he had to say recently. And again, you're not going to find a smarter person in politics than Pete Buttigieg, in my opinion. This is what he had to say.
Like, I want you to be able to get up in the morning, and the first thing you do is you commute to work. And by the way, if you're on an EV, I want that to be affordable for you. Or if you're on public transit, not to get back into the subway situation, but I want you to have good public transit to get to where you're going. And then when you get to that job, I want you to be paid well. And if you're about to have a kid, I want you to know that you're going to have parental leave when you have that kid. And if you don't want to have a kid, I want you to have the right to choose whether to have a kid, which means access to birth control and abortion and those things that give you the freedom to decide on that. And if you already have a kid, when you pick them up at school, I want that school to be good, not having its funding slashed while they set fire to the Department of Education. And then when you get home, I want you to be in a neighborhood that is safe and where you can breathe the air, because we didn't let them get rid of the Clean Air Act. And you don't have to think for one moment about whether the air you breathe or the water you drink is clean and clear, which actually takes a lot, because it means the government has to constrain those actors that would make you unfree by polluting the air and polluting the water. And then when you go to bed, I want you to know that your family's going to be fine, even if it's family like mine, despite there being some Supreme Court justice who wants to obliterate your family because it doesn't match his interpretation of his religion. Like, that's the life I want everybody to be able to live.
Yeah, I think
we can deliver that.
Why is that so difficult a concept? And somebody asked the question, I mean, think about that. Why is that so difficult a concept? To have clean water, safe communities, clean air, reliable public transportation, access to capital. Why is it so difficult for people to think about that? And then somebody asked the question, do I want an entirely new system of government or just for it to be more progressive? Well, I think they're one and the same. I think a progressive government would be a complete change to what we currently have, because we are our nation, the Overton window politically has shifted to the right. And that's because we've allowed it to happen. So a progressive form of government would be things like prioritizing healthcare, prioritizing public education, rewriting the tax code, things like that, responsible firearm legislation, adding justices to the Supreme Court to align with appellate courts, things like that. That's about progress, right? It's about progress. I whether it be, eliminating the electoral college through a series of steps, including ranked choice voting, sure. I don't want to put a label on it. I just want more progress. I'm tired of spinning in neutral as we're watching big oil, big pharma, big tech rip us off. Corporate oligarchs ripping us off. Nowhere else does it exist but here. I mean, oligarchs are dominating the world, sure, but here they have so much power and influence over our system of government and our democracy. You see oligarch influence in other parts of the world, but those are more autocratic, right? We know that people talk about Elon Musk being the richest person on earth. People have no idea how much money Vladimir Putin has. No idea. There's estimates that he could already be the world's first trillionaire. And those Russian oligarchs fuel their hatred and fuel their politics. And you see an oligarch class. Maybe it was Matt who mentioned this the other day. You could take a combined $6 trillion from all the billionaires in America, and you wouldn't lose one billionaire. That's how much money they have, right? That's how much money they have. So again, back to the question, do I want a whole new form of government? Yeah, I guess I would, because I just want it to be progressive. I don't want money in politics. I want to outlaw lobbying. I want to overturn Citizens United. I think if you were a lobbyist, you can't serve in government, and you can't serve in government 10 years prior to leaving government, or you can't serve as a lobbyist within 10 years of leaving government. Things like that. I want public education reform. Period. I want to cut the Department of Defense budget by at least 25%. At a minimum, start there. I don't even want to have a conversation. Obviously, I'd like to even go deeper than that. But at a minimum, 25%. But I want to be paying our active duty members who decide to serve more money. I want to pay them more, as opposed to the military industrial complex. I want court reform. I want ethics. I want true ethics for the Supreme Court. I do not want tenured, I do not want lifetime appointments for federal judges. Not just on the Supreme Court, but federal judges anywhere. Because society moves too fast. And for the most part, our judicial system is very conservative by nature, just because of the pace at which it moves. I want an aggressive, progressive, humane approach to immigration based on economy, family unity, and security. Those are the things that should matter to everybody. Why not? So again, I want progress. I am sick and tired of sitting idle in our current system. So no, give me progress. Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Well, hello there.
Hold on, I got you.
Hello there.
Hello there.
So
I know you love that.
I do love that. First of all, there are very few famous people that I would ever want to hang out with or be in their orbit. You is definitely one of them. I mean, first of all, just to be able to ride motorcycles with him would be the fucking bee's knees, right?
Agreed.
And fucking Jedi Master. So you put that shit together, and I don't even know if I could be comfortable in my own skin. I might need a moment.
I don't know if there's a chair big enough for you to shift in.
Right. So let me talk to you about yesterday. So
Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. Please. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, please keep tapping. Please keep gifting, Steve. Please do go to FactsSite or FactsStillMatter.site and subscribe there. Help a brother out. So yesterday I was at the U.S. Faster Payments Council member meeting down in San Diego, and first of all, I'm always just instantly humbled with the amount of big brains in those rooms. Some incredibly talented, thoughtful people. Everyone was kind of tiptoeing around politics because there's a really large balance you have to strike in the payment space, especially if you work at a bank or at a federal institution. However, our panel, led by yours truly, decided to poke the bear yesterday. So we did a little bit of a pivot and we spoke about the importance of financial inclusion, specifically within marginalized communities, with a focus on what happens in disasters and how difficult it is to get people money because now they don't have ID or they don't have a copy of their birth certificate or they don't have their passport, right? All of the things that you can lose in a natural disaster. And we were very direct about how all these solutions already exist. And my main comment was, if we're waiting on Congress to do something, we probably should stop waiting and just start doing. Yeah. We are the ones that get to dictate consensus. We are the ones that get to bring consumer products that actually help consumers. But this is how I started the session. And this is something I think I'm going to do more often. I told everyone in the beginning that this would be an interactive session. And so what I had everyone do was to stand up and turn around and introduce themselves to the person that's behind them. Because I want people to focus on the human element, the humanity of it all, right? And that we are in a really privileged position in this payment space. But we need to remember two things. One, we're not the only person in the room. And two, everything we do has a direct impact on humanity. And if we're going to stand for something, let's stand for actually helping people, right?
Indeed.
And so at the end of the session, happy to report, very well received. But some people from a particular agency came up and asked how they could do this, how they could incorporate the things we were talking about. So I believe this is going to lead to a fairly large fireside chat that will be a webinar. I'll keep you posted on that.
Cool.
And
good for you.
More importantly, people came up to me and said, every time you speak, you talk about this human element. And then we walk away and then we forget. And then 6 months, you show up again at another member meeting and you say the same thing. Now you've made us understand that we have to do something, that we can't just talk about it, that as a bank, I really have to figure out what is financial inclusion, because it can't just be a glossy pamphlet that we have folded up inside a branch. It has to be something that's actionable. So my way of helping and moving the needle is doing things at the level that I can do them at, right? Because I have to be careful publicly facing doing certain things, but I certainly can, in front of an audience, poke that bear very gently and make people uncomfortable and put them in a position to where they have to freely admit that this is the time. And I think if we can get this type of groundswell in these professional circles where people start to acknowledge that we dictate consensus,
Indeed,
the government doesn't, right?
Indeed.
And I said, listen, I said, if you want to talk about the bottom line, if you could really solve something for marginalized communities that are of benefit and do what we call gamify, which is get them the buy-in. Like, listen, if you sign up for this, we're going to put $50 in your account. When you reach this, we're going to put $100 in your account, right? Incentivize it, but make sure the focus is on getting people served. Because for some people in a natural disaster, it could take up to 5 years before they get their benefits, all the insurance paid, all of the things, right? Why are we waiting so long to do this, right? Why are we surrounded by all of this amazing technology, but because it might cost money, we're just not going to do it, right? And so I was really super stoked to have the panel that I had and some really powerful voices in this space. But I think it sets a tone. And this is something people can do, right? When people come up and talk about, oh, what can I do, right? Whatever your space is, find what your secret sauce is and use it in that space.
Indeed.
You know, you don't have to be spicy Steve. You don't have to be angry Obi, right? Although sometimes the two of us get that way, right? But what's super important is, irrespective of anything in life, we are all in this together. As long as we are focused on the importance of human rights, the importance of progressing a society, moving things in a forward direction, not incrementally, right? To your point, we need to stop taking small bites at the apple. We need to crush the apple.
Indeed.
Right? And and I know the energy is out there because it was palpable yesterday at other sessions too. People were really starting to get that things have changed.
Yeah, and it's weird because you see it from places that you maybe wouldn't expect. So I'll use that as a segue. So I got this from Sheila. This is apparently Candace Owens has come out publicly against the administration. So let's see what she has to say.
Where are all of those free speech people who grifted off of free speech and who won't say anything, and recognizing that this administration, this current administration, is taking a turn that is quite dark, okay? It is not what we signed up for. We are supposed to be the people who defend speech. So why is it now I'm finding myself in agreement with Anna Kasparian and Cenk over at the Young Turks, who are calling out what is happening and how suddenly there is this squeeze on speech only as it pertains to the special topic of Israel? Take a listen to what Anna had to say on the Young Turks.
David Friedman, who actually was Trump's ambassador to Israel in his first term, he doesn't just stop at progressives and their critique of Israel. He's also focusing on the right wing as well. And I suspect that this is waking the right wing up.
Yeah, it is not going to play well.
Because if you think,
first of all, I mean, it's a weird. The audio is kind of weird of that, but it's yeah, it is coming and going. I agree. Candace Owens, the fact that she, I mean, I had not heard that clip, and maybe I'll find a better version of it for tomorrow to play, but basically saying that, wait a second, we're the ones that talked about free speech, and now this president and this administration is literally taking away free speech in every chance they get. I'm pleased that she's being a bit objective, but she's right. I should say, and she's right. And like we've been saying all along, so to your point, when you're starting to see people in the world that you swim who are generally speaking lean conservatively, when you see people like Candace Owens, when you see other prominent conservative voices that are now starting to say this has gone a little bit too far. I reported last week that there's a lot of members of Congress that are up for re-election, Republican conservative members of Congress up for re-election in a lot of swing districts that Kamala Harris won and that they won. And there's been reach out from the Koch industries and also from people like Leonard Leo, you know, the people that pay and bribe the Supreme Court, saying, listen, we're kind of disgusted with some of the shit that Trump's doing as well. You can still count on us for money. So we know it takes money to get elected to Congress and to hold public office in general. So if you've got the money secured, then you don't need to be the Trump ally. You don't. We know that. So because he is a good fundraiser, and if he goes out and endorses you, politically it's not as great, but financially it's been really good for them. So if you can do that and you can pick away at that, then all of a sudden members of Congress might feel emboldened. Of course, they don't have any credibility because they should have stood out against this anyway, but because they want to hold on to their seat of power. If they can feel like they can count on the money to go back in a re-election fight, then you might start to see more voices. We saw members of the Senate. Was it 4 elected members of the Senate sided with Democrats in stopping Trump's bullshit tariffs against Canada? These are these little examples of these things that we start to see. So again, I have hope, but entitled leftists, people who are apathetic, you're still on my radar. You are still on my radar.
I mean, this is hard to say. I agree with what Candace Owens just said.
Me too, exactly.
And I will say this for her. She has not wavered on the free speech stuff. Now,
that's true.
As a Jew, my version of what she determines is free speech, I get offended by, right? Because she seems to enjoy and likes to bathe in anti-Semitism. That aside, at least she's being principled, and for that,
objective.
I will stand up and be like, okay, like I see you, right? I don't have to like you or agree with you, but it's also important when somebody takes a stance and is calling out the bullshit. There's nothing wrong with going, I agree. Not on my bingo card. Not something.
Exactly.
I thought
Joe
I would
Rogan,
say.
Similarly. Yeah, somebody, ME801 said the same thing. I couldn't find the sound for that, but Joe Rogan came out again and say, why are we not doing due process? What is going on here? Why are these people, if they're guilty of a crime, then let's put them on trial, and if we find them guilty, then we can make decisions based on that. But why are we not affording people due process? So these are these little things that we're seeing that I think should give us hope. And friends, listen, I want you to take some flowers for this. It's because we are not going to stop talking about it. We are not going to relent on this. Like I said earlier, here's the exercise. You're feeling frustrated. You're feeling defeated. You get up in the morning. Don't use my method today because I woke up late and everything was all crazy. Oh, thank you. Put it in the Discord. Awesome. Look in the mirror and tell yourself or ask yourself, what do you stand for? If you defend human rights, if you stand for marginalized communities, if you believe in the sanctity of empathy and you believe in supporting those that need support, if you believe in helping your neighbor, if you believe all those things, then I can guarantee you can sleep well at night because you're on the correct side of history. It's not our world is crumbling around us. It's their world that is crumbling. We, unfortunately, have to bear witness to it, but we're also the ones that are fighting. So when you start to see movement, when you start to see people like AOC and Bernie going out on these town halls in Republican states and districts, and we start to see, Republican members of Congress being called out and unrelenting from their voters, which, by the way, a lot of Republican voters as well, that's what change can do. That's what the We the People movement can do. That's why Matt and Felice and I are going to be doing these series of virtual town halls. What is it that you're fucking fighting for? And how can we help? How can you help each other? Where do we go for resources? How do we lean on people like Obi, who's in the banking space, who swims a lot of the sharks? But he's realizing as well that he's seeing people in that industry that are like, we got to do more to help people. That is a significant change, which goes back to the question that somebody asked earlier. Do I want to see an entirely new system of government? I don't think it takes an entirely new system of government. I just think I think government needs to prioritize the things that it should. The general welfare, for example, securing the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, the future, protecting speech, and all, even the speech. Listen, freedom of speech is there to protect the speech that we don't agree with. Okay? That's kind of the whole point. It's not just about the things that we like. It's also about the things that we disagree with, which I want. I want legitimate political discord. I believe in a free press. I will die on that hill. I believe in a free press. And I think those are the kinds of things that we should be able to unite around. That's the system that I want. I want progress, protecting people who need protection. Government exists because the private sector can't solve problems. So the government has to come in to do it. At the end of the day, think about it, right? All the money that exists in our system could very easily wipe out poverty, wipe out hunger. No doubt about it. But it doesn't. So we have to legislate things to make it happen. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you're on the right side of this. Thoughts, Obi?
I think what's important and what you've been sharing all morning is it is incumbent upon all of us to actively reflect on what it is that we stand for.
Correct.
More importantly, you have to be willing to accept criticism. And if you continue to take it personally, I would like to suggest you have an ego problem that you should seek therapy to resolve. Because as adults, if we're not willing to take criticism, now granted, it should be mostly constructive, right? Sometimes people do need to get yelled at. But the fact of the matter is, we have to be held accountable. Our side, whatever side that is, it is the most important thing for us is accountability. And if you get called out on your bullshit and it hurts your feelings, well, what does that tell you? That should tell you something, right? Listen, one of the things I love about being clean and sober is the accountability that I learn from sobriety, right? From other men that I walk in this journey with, and they call me out on bullshit, right? And sometimes it's not always hugs and kisses. Sometimes it's kicks and punches. But I need that, right? I need to be right-sized. And I think the problem in general with the left, and we've talked about this, the big tent also comes with really big problems. And one of the really big problems with having a big tent is this oversensitivity where everybody thinks we're supposed to be all fucking lovey-dovey and hugs. No. If you act like a Nazi, you're getting punched too.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I'm sorry if your nose moved to one side of your face because your mouth was talking out of its side. You got what was coming to you. We are no longer going to coddle you. This is ridiculous. There's no participation ribbon.
Exactly. I don't care that you put a bumper sticker on your car. I could give a shit.
Yes. Listen,
what are you going to do about it?
We used to joke about that.
Are you going to stand between yourself and harm? Are you going to go and use your privilege? And especially white men, are you going to go and use your privilege? Are you going to go and do it? Are you going to call it out? Are you going to be willing to get dirty and bloody potentially to protect the rights of marginalized communities that you and people who look like me and Obi live and thrive in the system that marginalizes these communities to begin with? What are you going to do about it?
When I lived in New England, which may or may not exist,
it doesn't.
One of the things I learned, this phrase I learned, which I think is fucking hilarious, is people always talked about the Trustafarians, right? Like the really wealthy, well-to-do kids and their mom and dad's Volvo, right? Some of them liked the Dead and Fish. That was unfortunate, but at least they had good taste in music. But they would go around acting like dirty hippies,
and they weren't.
And I'm like, but you're driving a $60,000 Volvo, like, bro.
Correct.
Like, you're a dirty fucking hippie because you don't shower. like your lack of general hygiene is not being a hippie. That's just being a fucking dirtbag, right?
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
Please stop putting more patchouli on the stank that is your person, because your Fimo beads and your Jesus Christ sandals are not helping you, right?
Yeah.
Like, bar of soap, washcloth, start at the top of your fucking head with the washcloth and water, and wash your goddamn legs. Soap dribbling down your body is not fucking cleaning yourself, right?
I want to thank Duana for your kind contribution on Cash App. Thank you, Duana. Appreciate you very, very much. Thank you.
Someone needs to send Steve $100 today so that he can buy lunch. It's very expensive when you live in a state that doesn't exist to buy lunch.
We talked the other day. Thank you for that. We talked the other day about how tourism. I mean, and I want to pivot back to this, but please stick around for this. We talked the other day about the impact that what we're seeing is that foreign visitors are canceling reservations, living in a state that does depend critically on tourism. We have, there are 5 distinct seasons if you include mud in Vermont, and each one of those has a separate draw for tourism. Well, Mr. Trump was asked about this during a White House presser, and just listen to his answer. This should tell us everything that we need to know about how he sees America.
There's been a steep drop-off in international travel to the United States. It was down 12% last month, down even more from Western Europe. Why do you think that there are fewer people suddenly who want to travel to the United States?
Well, there could be a little, there's a little nationalism.
There's a little nationalism. Okay.
There, I guess, perhaps. It's not a big deal. And our dollar is a little bit on the low side. And that means that a lot of tourism is going to come in. But I could see a little bit nationalism at work. And I can see it likewise with us not wanting to go to certain countries. But that'll work out very easily.
Do you think some people are scared to come here because they hear the stories of tourists who are detained for a few days or even a week or two?
No, we treat our tourists great. We're the tourism capital of the world.
Actually, we're not the tourism capital of the world. France and Spain exceed us in visitors, by the way.
There's no place like this. And there may be a little bit of nationalism, but I doubt it. I actually doubt it.
Nationalism.
I'm trying to process. Did he complete a sentence?
No. There was a lot of ellipses, dots, and ellipses, and then pivoting away.
First of all, what does nationalism have to do with other people coming here? If other people are coming here, that'd be called isolationism on their part.
Correct.
Because they wouldn't be.
That's exactly right.
Nationalism is what he's displaying.
Correct. And as a reminder, for those of you who are so let me back up a second. We know that the inflation rate has dropped from 2.8% to 2.4%. The expectation, because Liberation Day happened in April, and we're already seeing the impact on the tariffs to the bottom line and to people's pockets, right? We already know that. We already know that large big box retailers have already increased their prices based on tariffs. All these kinds of things will happen. So we fully expect the inflation rate to spike significantly to above 3% coming out in April. Again, not my prediction, just from what I've been reading. We'll probably find out about that. It's usually like 10 to 12 days once the month closes when we get the initial report. So those kinds of things, right? Imagine if you're talking about billions of dollars. I think it's $100 billion, roughly speaking, that comes in from foreign tourists every single year into our nation. And again, the economy in Vermont, 25%. 25% of our economy depends on tourists. 25%. I don't know what it's like in other states. I would imagine it's probably pretty high in your state too, Obi. But a small state like ours, you have 25% of your economy fueled by tourism. And then do we see all these examples of countries around the world putting the United States on a watch list, saying you may not be safe to travel to there? And his answer is to not only lie, to say that we're the number one tourist destination in the world, which we're not. Imagine some of these small towns, whether they be suburbs of wherever it might be, that these families, they build their business around tourism. And then all of a sudden, because people are afraid to come here because of their bullshit, those people go out of business. So not only is it a social pariah based on what we're being told, it's an economic pariah for these small communities that depend on tourism too. By the way, tourists don't just go to blue states. It's so anyway.
He
I know.
He is incapable of absorbing information in the form of a question, and he is incapable of processing said question and then laying out a coherent statement in the form of an answer to a question. He is literally one of the stupidest people on this planet. Oh my Lord. Oh, my lord. Hello, your highness.
Hello, Erica. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. You were just talking about why people won't visit the US right now.
Yes,
From
that's part of
Western
our
Europe.
conversation. Yeah, or from anywhere
Yeah.
at this point. Yep.
I'm here with another Western European who is my mum.
Hi, Mum.
Should we ask? There we go. She doesn't. Yes, Mum.
I don't know what you're on about.
Mum, would you want to visit the US right now?
No, I wouldn't.
Why not?
Because what's happening over there.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm going to get to meet you soon, Mom. Just FYI, in case you didn't know that.
I look forward to it.
Same here.
Uh-oh.
Same here. I appreciate you very, very much. Well, I'm sure she's not alone in that sentiment, right, Erica?
No, if I come over, I've got to get a phone, a scrubbed phone. In fact, we were even talking. Mum and I were talking the other day about whether I should start using a second phone now, so it looks like it hasn't been scrubbed, for if and when I do come over.
You need a burner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, her phone is one that I've given her, so I might have her old one and start using it already. Use it now. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, these little things. I just think it's an interesting choice of words that he used. That it's nationalism, right? I don't know if that was the right word. I don't know if I would have used that word in describing it. Like I think I know what he was trying to say, but I don't know if I would have used that word.
well, and it might be nationalism, but it's his nationalism that's stopping people coming, not the nationalism of the people that might visit.
Exactly. I have a couple more things that I want to play. Please stay and hang out with us if you can, unless you're busy with Mom.
Well, I'm just going to drop for a minute, but I'll come back when I've just dropped some tomato plants off. So I will come back up when I leave.
Okay, bye, Mom.
And he didn't hear.
Bye, Mom. See you later. Good to talk to you.
Big W's in the chat for mum. That's M-U-M.
That's right. Somebody said they may not let me come back in. Actually, Erica and I have talked about that, about whether or not I would be able to get back into the country. And, who knows? I'm not going to worry about that. I want to play a little bit of sound. This is the hypocrisy that exists in our government today. It's one thing to say that, it's one thing, to play politics, which is part of the game. I get it, That's why you have messaging and that's why you have statements released. And of course it's biased, but this is Mike Johnson and discussing something, and I want to call this out because again we're trying to push back against the hypocrisy and misinformation. So this is Mike Johnson talking about pardons. I think you guys are going to love this. This is awesome.
What President Biden did on the way out, pardoning his family for more than a decade of whatever activity, any nonviolent offenses, it was breathtaking to us. I don't think that's anything like that's ever been anticipated.
But when Trump issues pardons, right?
So look, everybody can describe this however they want. The president has the pardon and commutation authority. It's his decision. And I think what was made clear all along is that peaceful protests and people who engage in that should never be punished. There was a weaponization of the Justice Department. There was a weaponization of the events. The following, the prosecutions that happened after January 6th. It was a terrible time and a terrible chapter in America's history. The president's made his decision. I don't second guess those.
Wow, that's crazy, right? So the president has the powers of pardon and commutation. Yes, we agree with that. They are unlimited. Yes, we agree with that. Joe Biden chose to pardon members of his family because Donald Trump told the media and the world that he was going to be going after members of Joe Biden's family. So instead of just accepting that as the truth, Mike Johnson instead says, I can't believe he did that. How horrible. But Donald Trump pardoning people who beat up police officers, spread shit on the walls of the Capitol, pled guilty to their crimes, found guilty for whatever. What was the term? What did Stuart Rhodes and Enrique Tarrio get busted for, I forget, not insurrection, but somebody will know in the chat because we have the smartest chat in TikTok. That hypocrisy is just fucking seditious conspiracy. Actually, thank you. That's okay. It's no big deal. President's got power of commutation. We're going to pardon criminals. I agree with Trump. It's fine. They beat up police officers. They threatened to hang Mike Pence. They wanted to rip me apart as a member of Congress, but no big deal. But Joe Biden pardoning his family, that's the tan suit of 2025. That
you
fucked
know what
up.
you have to yell right now.
What about Biden? What about Biden?
Now,
true,
correct me if I'm wrong. Mike Johnson claims to be a Christian. Is this true?
Oh, never mind claims. He's like card carrying.
Yeah. Can someone remind me what lying is?
I believe it's a sin.
Oh. So interesting. How he can lie for his daddy.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Now, what's another way of describing that? It starts with a P. He's promoting propaganda.
Sure.
Everything out of that man's mouth is always a lie. It's always deceptive, right? And as we've been screaming and telling you, the white Christian nationalists still believe that they're victims. But, if you look at a population slide on the amount of persons who identify as Christians in the United States or in the world, can someone explain to me how a majority of people in the United States are victims?
Well, and remember, I mean, I don't know if you were here for the beginning. You probably weren't. You're probably still sleeping. But we often ask ourselves, how could somebody vote for that? But this is what Christian nationalists wanted. They have what they want. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the policy is. It doesn't matter what the rhetoric is. It doesn't matter if the stock market crashes. None of it matters because they got what they wanted. So I'll play this sound again in case folks weren't here from the beginning, but I think this kind of tells us the story, right?
As a Christian, if you're struggling with the Donald Trump presidency, let me just encourage you. He defunded Planned Parenthood.
He did
you
not.
Should rejoice.
He
declared that the federal government only recognized boys as boys and girls. You should rejoice.
He did not.
He declared that we should not prioritize fish over humans, which is a reinstating of the Genesis 2 created order. You should rejoice. He said boys will not ruin women's sports by pretending they're girls and then running over girls. You should rejoice. He's appointing people who publicly profess Jesus Christ as Savior. He's appointing people of righteousness to positions of power. You should rejoice.
Absolutely.
He's bringing to light things that have been held in darkness by the government. There is literally nothing that a Christian should be grieving or worried about right now. We are in a unique window and season of it is all rejoice. Thanks be to God for who he is and what he's doing through what you may have perceived as an imperfect servant. God's using in many ways. Thanks be to God. Learn how to win, Christian.
Had you heard that, Obi?
Who was that?
It's Pastor Josh McPherson on his podcast.
Oh, a pastor now, is he?
Correct.
Did he get that certificate out of a box of Lucky Charms?
Let's not be dissing on Lucky Charms, but probably.
I don't know if I shared with you, but our daughter,
yes,
who she is.
Yes, she is our daughter, indeed.
She asked for some Lucky Charms. So I went to the store in search of Lucky Charms, and I'm not even kidding you.
Oh, I heard this.
Most of the cereals from that particular company, Post or General Mills, whichever one it is, were missing. Now the healthy ones were clearly present, but the not so healthy ones were gone. So So as not to disappoint or come home empty-handed, I got the First Street brand, which is the generic.
That's a bad dad move, dude.
Like a white box that says cereal on it, right?
Sorry. See,
However,
I don't often eat cereal, but like if I do, it's gonna be Golden Grams, like Frosted Flakes, like chocolate covered sugar bombs. Like I'm not messing around. Don't give me that. If I'm gonna have cereal, I am going all in. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, hell yeah.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch should be illegal. It really should.
It's so, and here's the thing: if the box is in the house and I've got enough milk, the box may not survive the day.
Yeah,
exactly.
Anyway,
we digress.
I then
Captain Crunch, yes, of course.
That all cereals are made at only a handful of plants in the United States, and only the boxes change.
That's true. That is very true. So back to the topic though. When yes. I think we need to make sure that we're aware, keenly aware, that when we're constantly looking for like, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that? Well, Christian nationalists did it because of that guy. Because Trump said he was going to stop libs from unaliving babies, and he did it. And no more of that trans stuff, and no more of this, and no more of that, and praise be to Jesus, and we got our boy.
Can you explain to me how we're praising someone who cheated on all 3 wives? Is there? Did I miss something in Christianity about adultery?
No, that's the hypocrisy. That's the hypocrisy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just making sure. I was momentarily unmoved by the supposed pastor who is acting as if Trump is godlike, which again would be another violation of the tenets that they supposedly follow.
False idols, right?
Yeah. You know what I would like? I would like there to be a regulation that
Golden Grams? Oh, sorry.
Oh, first of all, I haven't had Golden Grams, and I don't even know how long.
Dude, get that done.
Yeah, I need to see if we get those out here.
If you don't have Golden Grams in California, then I'm not moving there. Sorry. It's not going to happen. I'll bring it with me. Anywho, we digress.
Wow, that was fucking rough, bro.
I know. I'm just saying. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Sam in our mod chat with this great meme. The people with "Don't Tread on Me" flags now support the government being able to arrest anyone indefinitely without any due process. I love that. Love that. And this recent post from the twice impeached, 4-time indicted sexual abuse and fraudster convicted felon on Truth Social. Rupert Murdoch has told me for years that he is going to get rid of his Fox News, Trump-hating, fake pollster, but he has never done so. This pollster has gotten me and MAGA wrong for years. Also, while he's at it, he should start making changes at the China-loving Wall Street Journal. It sucks. Now, for me, you guys know how I stand with the freedom of the press and freedom of speech. This is, again, another example of the president saying, I'm going to tell news agencies that are sympathetic to me to fire people who report on polls that I don't like. And I'm also going to tell people who support me that their news that they own, the Wall Street Journal, should have massive changes made because they report on things that I don't like. Again, when we try to have these conversations with MAGA, it's impossible. Those are black and blue, plain as day, examples of freedom of suppressing speech and the press. You cannot be okay with that. It shouldn't matter your political leaning. It should not matter. It is there's a reason it's the First Amendment. There's a reason it's in there. Speech, religion, press, petition grievances, and peacefully assemble. There's a reason that those things are the first rights that we have in the Bill of Rights, is because they're so important and they are so critical to the existence of our democracy, period, full stop. And here we are again, the president telling people who he doesn't like or are saying bad things about him, aw, poor baby, fuck you, Donald. Fuck you and your Nazi friends. Pam Bondi, add you to the list. Kash Patel, fuck you too. 8 to noon, Monday through Friday, weekdays, and occasionally in the evening, I'm right here. Feel free to knock on my door. No problem at all. Fuck you. Sorry. I'm not sorry.
It's currently mud season, so do bring a 4x4.
That's true. There's a lot of it. I forgot. Reed reminded me. We have 6 seasons in Vermont: spring, summer, fall, winter, mud, and stick.
What is stick season? I'm familiar with mud, but not
stick season is the time between when the leaves fall and we get our first snowfall.
The barren.
Correct. It's like a subtle shade of gray, like every day. It lasts for like a month, maybe 3 weeks. But yeah, it's my least favorite season. I can deal with mud because we know spring is coming and it will soon be here. But stick sucks because you're like you can't do shit. It's like 35 degrees. There's no snow. You can't go skiing or snowboarding or snowmobiling or whatever, and you're just like, what the fuck do I do? Can't go outside. It's like I got nothing going on. That's a very white privilege thing to say. My apologies.
Well,
over there.
I mean, everyone in New England suffers through that, right?
That's true too. That is true.
That does not discriminate.
That is true. That is true. New England exists, but Vermont does not. I have one more thing from True Social that I wanted to read. And then we might see where we're at. We might wrap. Let's see if I can find it. This guy, man. Okay, this is Boeing. Boeing should default China for not taking the beautifully... Oh, hold on. I got to do this. I got a request, so I have to do it now.
Boeing should default China for not taking the beautifully finished planes that China committed to purchase. This is just a small example of what China has done to the USA for years. And by the way, the F-drug continues to pour into our country from China, through Mexico, and through Canada, unaliving hundreds of thousands of our people, and it better stop now. Yeah.
As far as last time I checked, it doesn't really work that way.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And
nice, right?
You can cancel contracts anytime you want.
Sure you can.
Because there's a clause that tells you how much it's going to cost.
Correct.
And quite often,
China's like, we don't need it. We'll figure it out ourselves.
Yeah, it's way less expensive to cancel than it is to pay for the full.
Correct.
Now, the F drug only comes into this country because American citizens keep bringing it in across the southern border. It does not come from the northern border. So stop being silly, right? But again, it wouldn't be coming here if we didn't have consumers for it.
That's right. And I want to go back just a quick second again, because I have the best mods on planet Earth. And again, hearts in the chat for mods everywhere. I just read the reporting or the statement that he made on True Social about the fake news pollster on Fox because he cares about polls. So this is Brett Baer discussing said poll that was just released.
President talking tariffs and the economy. If you look at our new Fox News poll at 100 days job approval compared to other presidents, there you see the president at 44%.
Okay, so this is a job approval at the 100-day mark for the last 5 presidents. George W. Bush, 63%. Barack Hussein Obama, 62%. Donald Trump, term 1, 45%. Joe Biden, 54%. Donald Trump, term 2, 44%. So not only does he have the lowest approval rating, he's got the 2 lowest approval ratings. And it gets a little bit better than that because there is data in the poll that was issued by Fox News that President Trump's job performance. This is a Fox News poll. Again, this was the quote on True Social that he posted. Rupert Murdoch has told me for years that he's going to get rid of his Fox News Trump-hating fake pollster. Okay? So the data comes out, fake pollster. He's fake. Okay? President Trump's job performance, a Fox News poll. Overall, 44% approve, 55% disapprove. Immigration, 47% approve, 48% disapprove. That's a big one, even though it's only 1 point. Foreign policy, 40% approve, 54% disapprove. The economy, 38% approve, 56% disapprove. Tariffs, 33% approve, 58% disapprove. And inflation, 33% approve, disapprove. That pollster.
For years that he is going to get rid of his Fox News Trump-hating fake pollster, but he has never done so. This pollster has gotten me and MAGA wrong for years. Also, while he's at it, he should start making changes at the Wall Street Journal, too, because they love China. It sucks.
Those numbers, you guys. Think about the things that he got elected on, right? The economy and immigration. Overall, disapprove, 55% disapprove. But if you go to the economy, 38% approve, 56% disapprove. This is a Fox News poll among 1,104 registered voters taken between April 18th and the 21st with a +3 margin of error. The economy, 38% approve, 56% disapprove. And what was the other one? Oh, immigration, 47% approve, but 48% disapprove. That's the ball game right there, right? It's the economy, Stuart. That's an 18-point delta between approval and disapproval. And yes, you said lots of ketchup is getting tossed around the White House at the moment.
He's underwater. There's been some really good Bloomberg reporting on his own cabinet pushing back and telling him that they're going to start assuming control as they push out Elon Musk.
Oh yeah.
And I think what's happening is even the unqualified cabinet members now are also in self-preservation mode, right? They are not going to be as strong as the adults in the room during his first term, which is why we didn't see the things that we're seeing now. But I believe that they are also concerned about their legacy because their name is on this too, right? They're in the president's cabinet. And
Scott Bessent. Think about Scott Bessent for for example, right? Somebody that was highly regarded in the economic community. Well, no one's going to be able to trust his credibility. He's lost all credibility. Seriously.
Yeah, but he's the main one that's pushing.
Yeah.
He's the one out in front going like, hey, like, no, this is not how this shit works. And I would have loved to have heard that argument between him and Musk. I guarantee you Scott was like, you're a fucking idiot. You need to shut up. You're not. How are you qualified to be in this conversation? I'm sorry, this was an adult conversation. Who let this kid into the room? Right.
That's exactly right.
And Elon's super hurt, right? Because everybody now knows that one, Elon Musk hasn't actually done anything, right? Except for stole a whole bunch of stuff and moved a whole bunch of people out so he can't be investigated, right? There has been no savings of any kind. Money's just sitting in a frozen position. It hasn't been removed. Congress hasn't done a budget. So nothing has actually happened, but people still are willing to believe because they need to believe that something has happened. He has done nothing. And I think this is my prediction with Scott, and I also hope this is true for his sake too. I think he's going to make a couple of ultimatums. And then if they don't follow what they should be following, which is what Scott's telling them to do, he's gonna check out, and he's gonna go back into the private sector, and he's gonna spill all the fucking tea because he doesn't have to give a shit. But what he does have to do is he has to repair his reputation, and that's going to be paramount for a guy like that.
Yeah, interesting for somebody like him who obviously doesn't need the money. Why would you sign up for something that you knew was going to be harmful? There's got to be something else to it, but I guess we'll find out more.
I'll share what I was told yesterday by somebody.
Okay.
That knows him like really well. and that I've known for 20 plus years. There are people like Scott still that exist on this planet, even though they have all the means in the world to never have to work again. But they've always wanted to serve in some capacity.
Sure.
And there are, I do, like you said, I swim with the sharks. So I do meet these people, and they're like, people will honestly tell you, I would give up my job and my position if I were asked to go be the Treasury Secretary in a heartbeat. That to me is like the ultimate job for me. That is where I could really do something. And it's shocking when I hear these things, but that's what still drives a lot of people. Like, you got to remember, Scott's a Reagan Democrat, right?
Oh, for sure.
That was still
part of the problem.
That was still a point of pride for a lot of people. Serving in the federal government meant something. It was something they were honored to do.
Well, public service in general. Public service in general is important. That was, it's important. It's a very fulfilling thing, right?
I just don't think he may have assumed that because he could comport himself as an adult, that others around him would join in. And I believe he's, fully self-aware that at this point, he may be the only adult in the room. Right.
I have a feeling, well, Erica's the only adult in this room currently, so I think we can relate to that. How are you? Thank you for coming back. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm sitting looking at a lovely view. I'm good.
I know.
How are you?
I am looking pretty good today. I'm sorry. You meant something. You meant something else.
Threw up in my mouth. Oh,
I know.
By the way, have you two met? Erica, do you know Steve? Steve, do you know Erica?
Okay.
I get a text from Erica this morning. She's like, "Are you dead?" I'm like, "No, I'm sorry. I just woke up late. I was scrambling."
I was like, because this is how our day goes. Because I wake up probably 5 hours ish before Steve does it. Maybe a little bit before that. I either send him a video while I'm on my way to work of me, I don't know, rambling about shit, or I send him a voice message like from my car when I get to work. Sometimes if I'm up really early, I'll send him a message like earlier than that. And then normally when he wakes up, he responds in some way to that message, like he'll send me a voice message or a text or whatever. And normally that message comes in between, 11 and 12 my time. Well, today it gets to like 12:20 and I've heard nothing. And his daughter's in France and I'm like, is everything okay? What's going on? He's like, shit, I woke up late, shit.
Yeah, scrambling. Totally scrambling. It kind of sets the day off in the wrong direction when you like. That's why I'm always early for things. Like I don't like rushing. I've done that most of my life, being a single father with 3 kids. So every chance I get to not rush, I'll take advantage of that. So when you're scrambling to try to get your show prepped and get on the air and you only have 25 or half an hour to do it becomes a little overwhelming. So sorry. Appreciate that.
Can I point out to the people chastising him in the comments?
Yes, man. I know. I get it. Yes, I did message back. I did. I'm usually pretty good about that.
It was just a little bit later than expected.
I know. I'm getting scolded. That's fine.
Well,
that's true.
And at least I didn't go, oh, fuck it. He's probably fine.
That's true too. Right. I appreciate that. That's a good point. Yes, when you live alone, you never know. Listen, if I don't show up some morning, people will be like, "Where are you, man? What's going on?" So I think I appreciate that. Thank you all. I think I have 100,000 people who are looking out for me. I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. But I was good. Just late. No food except for the banana. So hungry and only 1 cup of coffee. So there's that again. White privilege problems. Anyway,
is this the man that put the banana in the tailpipe?
Hang on a minute.
Yes, it was.
Hang on a minute. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, you got yourself a hat. Nice. Love that.
I had to, I'm sitting in the car, and people can like hear me, so I'm getting some funny looks.
I'm sure. I think we're going to wrap, actually, friends. So we're going to raid RJ today. Please come over. Please tell him that we all said hello. We had a lot of really great conversations today. You know, the whole thing started this morning with the, my realization that when we are often looking for reasons why people in our country voted for Trump, it's becoming more and more obvious to me why Christians did, Christian nationalists, I should say. They love it. They love everything they're getting. They do not care about the demise of our democracy. They do not care about rights being violated. They do not care about the Constitution being torn up. They don't give a shit. All they care about is that the libs can't unalive babies anymore, that women will be left behind, that marriage equality will be banned, that the LGBTQI community will not exist, only exist behind closed doors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, boom, they're totally stoked. It's Christmas for them. It's Christmas for them. Erica, I'm going to go to Obi first. Obi, final thoughts, my friend.
Well, I think what's been said is what's been needed to be said. I do like it when you become spicy mayo. I think it's good, and it's important to be principled, right? And for Our Highness above me, I need a favor, love. I would like to be able to ask your students some questions. So if that would be cool, I will send you in the usual manner some questions. As it was brought up at the conference yesterday, the younger generation's acceptance of and how that be more open and forthcoming when sharing things, especially when asking for money via all the pay apps. So I would love to get a UK perspective because privacy laws are different there. And that's way off topic, but I had the opportunity to do that. So also, if they have more questions for me, please threaten me with a good time and send them along.
Of course I will. Of course I will.
Thank you, Obi. Erica, final thoughts, my dear.
Well, listen, the reason I wanted my mum to answer those... Oh, fuck off. Every time. The reason I wanted my mum to answer those questions rather than my biased, my biased viewpoint is because my mum is someone who, for the majority of her life, voted Conservative, right? She's someone who comes from a family who are conservative. My dad is far more, I would say, liberal than my mum is. But my parents are generally they're a good representation of people of their generation in another country. And we've been to the United States as a family multiple times. And the fact that people of their age who remember what the United States used to be like are now saying, no, I wouldn't travel there. That's really telling. It's really telling of what the rest of the world thinks. Because I can tell you what the rest of the world thinks until the cows come home. But getting the perspective of other people who in this country, you grow up with this golden picture of the United States through films and TV and stuff. And that is very representative of what normal people are thinking. Of like, I don't want to go and not be let in because I said something nasty about Trump once on my phone, or I don't want to go and then be arrested and deported as to somewhere random. And people just don't know if that's gonna happen. So of course people aren't gonna come and visit. And it's not because of nationalism, apart from Donald Trump's nationalism.
So, yeah, exactly. Very well said. And I just to kind of close the loop on that, the fragile economies that exist in so many communities in our nation that depend heavily on tourism are going to be affected. This is a self-inflicted wound, and they have no one to blame but themselves because they voted for it. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Obi. Thank you, mods. Best mods on TikTok. We're going to rate our friend RJ. Everybody say hello when you head on over there. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, please consider doing so. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you, friends. Love y'all.